And good morning. Welcome to Breakfast Extra. My name is, of course, Mazino Appeal. So this past week, Nigerians were introduced to an, very interesting idea. That the permanent voters card may not be entirely as permanent as we thought it was. There was talk about revalidation, a fresh confirmation, a process to prove that you are already who you said you were many times from before. So on the surface, this sounds very reasonable coming from INEC. The Independent National Electoral Commission says it is about cleaning the register, removing names of the dead and fixing duplicates, making the system more credible, they say. And that makes sense, don't get me wrong. Now, no one wants a register that can be questioned after all. But in Nigeria, the issue is really just the idea, it's the memory that comes with it. When people hear revalidation, they're not only hearing policy, they're remembering past elections or court cases and results that left very many people very unsure about what they just heard. Systems that worked until they didn't. So what should have been a simple technical discussion quickly became something else, a question of trust. Then the reactions started pouring strong from different sides. Lawyers spoke, political groups raised concerns, citizens, they asked questions. And almost as quickly as it was announced, the plan was suspended. It was paused. It wasn't fully explained, however. It wasn't even defended. It was just paused. And that is the concern for many Nigerians, because governance is not only about what is announced, it's also about how well it is explained and how firmly it is carried. So when a policy comes with confidence and then leaves with hesitation, it sends the wrong message. It may not be, very obvious, but it is a message all the same. Now, it suggests a system that is still finding its balance, Mr. Amokpita. Now, to be fair, keeping a clean voters register is important. It is necessary. Every democracy depends on one. Names must be correct and records must be clear. But credibility is not just about process, you see. It's also about trust. And trust, that takes time to grow. It can also fade very quickly, one misstep. So many Nigerians have learned to look beyond what is being said and ask the deeper questions. So the issue is no longer just revalidation, it's actually reassurance. Why does something meant to improve the system feel uncertain to many people? Why do reforms often come with suspicion? Why do citizens first ask, who will it affect, instead of asking, how will it help us? Now, these are not easy questions, but they are real questions all the same. So, people, at the heart of this, democracy is a relationship, like it or not, between institution and people. And once doubt enters that relationship, even good ideas can begin to look like they aren't. So going forward, and this is to the Nigerian government, if you are hearing me, the focus should not only be on what needs to be fixed, it should also be on how people are carried along. Clear policies matter, clear intentions matter too. When people trust the system, change feels like progress. When they don't, even the right step can feel uncertain. And that is something to think about. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Breakfast Extra. Like I said from the beginning, my name is Mazino Appeal. I won't be here all alone because Queen Celestine is going to be joining. Queen, say good morning.
Good morning.
Grand. You deserted us all week. I shouldn't have said that. I'm so sorry. How was your week?
It was exhausting, but okay.
Wasn't it? I know. Well, did you see the president, or was it the vice president who came to town?
I was working, so I didn't see him.
Yeah, it's okay. Wasn't much to see. He came, he saw, he's gone. But in any case, we've got so much to discuss today that involve the presidency, so let's already get up to it.
Awesome.
Once again, welcome to Breakfast Extra.
Good morning. Of course, welcome to Breakfast Extra. I am Queen Celestine. Today on the show, we begin with rising political tension as opposition groups accuse INEC of bias ahead of the 2027 general elections. We'll be speaking with stakeholders on what these allegations mean for the nation's democracy. We also examine the federal government's proposed 3.3 trillion naira power sector bailout, a major intervention aimed at clearing long-standing debts in the electricity value chain. But will this plan finally bring stability to Nigeria's struggling power sector? Or is it another temporary fix? We have a guest joining us on this conversation. Still in politics, the road to 2027 is heating up with intensified legal battles and internal power struggles across party lines. We'll analyze what these developments mean for party unity, electoral strategy, and Nigeria's democratic direction. On the continental front, we turn to a Benin Republic, where the 2026 presidential race is shaping into a tight contest between leading candidates. We'll explore the political mood, voter sentiment, and what this election could mean for democracy in the region. It's a packed show this morning. Stay with us on Breakfast Extra. But first of all,
yes, let's have a chin wag, shall we? Welcome. Thank you very much.
Did I hear Queen during your monologue?
Didn't I say hi and good morning?
No, apart from that.
What Queen? I did.
You missed me all week because you were looking for me and said, hey, where are you? Where did
yes.
you go?
Well, do you want me to repeat it, how you deserted us? But it's okay.
I did it.
You know
Our
you did.
schedules don't align, only for weekends.
Yeah, right. Interestingly, when you spoke about the elections in Benin Republic, which I have been following for a while, Patrice Talon, love the name, done with his second term, and I'm wondering what's going to happen after. Because Benin has, just like Ghana, has always been a beacon for democracy in Africa. So watching it transition now is going to be very interesting. But you can compare a lot of what's happening inside of Benin to Nigeria. It's almost exactly the same. It would seem, and I'm not saying that it is, that there's plenty of suppression when it comes to opposition.
Right.
So that's going to affect the outcome, where it seems like the authorities that are selecting who exactly is recognized. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah.
And who isn't when it comes to the parties and the party candidates and whoever it is that are being put forward.
Which brings the question to, are we still in democracy? Or
Exactly.
something else?
And when you also note that just on top of Nigeria and Benin Republic, you have the Sahel Belt and all of these countries that have decided to go in a totally different direction when it comes to democracy. They're like, we don't want it, doesn't seem to be working, and we're doing our own thing now militarily. So that influence is there to consider. So today and tomorrow we get to find out exactly how this turns out when we talk about Benin Republic. I'm excited about it, and of course we have our correspondents who are in Benin Republic already and will be bringing us the details about what's happening there as they observe these elections for 2027. So, did you find anything fantastic during the week?
Well, nothing, to be fair. It was just, well, apart from, coming to the office and, having to see a part going live.
Oh, nice.
Just enjoying the view.
You should be a part of it soon. Be a part of a part.
But yeah, it was an interesting live. So, yeah.
All right, Grant.
Nothing really serious happened this week.
You had a chill week.
I did.
Tell you what, let's take a break now. When we come back, we'll have the papers for you. Do stay tuned. You're welcome back. It's time for the dailies like we promised before we went. It is Breakfast Extra. So, Queen, may I begin?
Yes, you can, Masito.
Or would you like to go ladies first?
No, it's okay.
All right,
no pressure.
No pressure. Let's start with the Saturday Punch, shall we? Saturday Punch has this front and center big headline: how terrorists overran military base, killed General Brimer. And soldiers, the soldiers. Survivors recount midnight terror, lucky escape, Tinubu Lord's bravery, 49 villages, 10 bandits killed in fresh attacks. Very sad. We heard about this all week. In fact, it wasn't just one location, there were multiple. And of course, the reactions that came from the authorities, but still Nigerians are crying. If you go on social media, you see plenty of celebrities. I can't remember the name of the very pretty Nigerian actress. I think earlier on in the week, she put out a post that was very concerning, very, very sad. At the very top, 2027 elections, NBA accuses judges and lawyers of breaking Electoral Act provisions. That on page 6. An INEC chairman denies X account, warns against fake social media posts. Commission postpones voter revalidation till after 2027 polls. There we go. Thank you very much for the thoughtfulness. Bad timing from initially. Gunmen kill family of 8 in Plateau, very sad. And mother-daughter murdered by kidnappers in Ondo. To Yvonne Jegede here, marriage doesn't favor women, she says. I don't know about that. What do you think, real quick?
Well, marriage is not something you go in. It's not It's not a fast food where you just go and pick anything and leave. It has to be intentional. I feel like there's a lot of people go into marriage with the thought of, if it doesn't work out, I'll just get a divorce. That's not how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be, better for worse. Of course, you don't want the worst part, but you're choosing a life partner. You're choosing somebody to have life with.
But despite all of that, she's saying it still doesn't favor women.
Maybe it's not for some people.
Okay.
Because it's also written in the Bible, some people, it's not for some people. So if it's not for you, then don't go into it. But if it's for you, then
lonely life.
take your heart into it.
What else do we have? You're going into the Telegraph,
Yes,
aren't
let's
you?
do the Saturday Telegraph.
All right. Saturday Telegraph has these headlines.
Yes, and he says, thank you, Masino, right at the center, not having credible opposition on the ballot, dangerous for democracy. Find that on pages 2 and 20. Democracy is imperiled where choices are weak and compromise, says Ubani. It can't happen, but we must remain vigilant, says Pogo. Nigerians must stop Tinubu before he becomes an emperor, Olaita says. And JAM delisted 23 CBT centers over technical failures ahead of 2026 UTME. I have nothing to say about JAM at this time. $1 trillion economy. FG operationalizes plan for economic growth target. How obsolete equipment, lack of political will, reverse gains, says military sources. Will defeat terrorism, Tinubu reassures Nigerians.
For the upteenth time.
America's evacuate of embassy staff, national emergency, says Obi. Advisory signals loss of confidence in federal government.
That brought plenty of concern to me.
Yeah, but they do that every year.
Yeah, but it's not just the act itself, it's what follows. What exactly are they planning when they give these advisories and perhaps sometimes even ask officials to leave the country? That's what you have to worry about. And these are very tiny little baby steps. And I'm telling you, it's leading somewhere. We just can't define it yet.
No, but you know that as an American citizen, wherever you are, even
you will
when
get these
the whole
advisories.
Dubai
I agree.
issue happened.
But with what's happening now, these are just little signs that we need
No,
to pay.
I don't think so, because if it's something that has been happening over the years, when it comes to their citizens, they don't joke with them. Even when it's raining season here, a lot of them go back home because of flood and stuff. It's something they've been doing like all the time. So now that it's happening now, so it's not really...
It's still an indicator.
It's an indicator,
it's still an indicator,
since it has
regardless
always been
if you
there,
ask
you can't really say, but, well, Nigeria...
Okay, what else do you have, or would that be all?
No, I think we have one more. Just right at the top, court jails 386 terrorists in 4 days. I would like to see pictures of these terrorists and their names. Again, bandit strike, inquirer community kill 5 forest guards.
All right, we're going to go straight to The Guardian now. The Guardian newspaper for today. Nigeria, insecurity defies military tactics. So plenty of riders here. 8 die in fresh play to attack. Gunmen shoot mother, daughter dead in Ondo. Hariwa kicks, questions Tinubu's capacity. Army clarifies death of General Brima in Borno ambush. And that's the major headline. At the top for The Guardian, why false sexual rape allegations should be punished. Of course it should. And that's that picture of the girl who went viral 2 months ago, isn't it? I wonder what's happened with that case. I think we need more information about that one. Should dig it out. And INEC, managing opposition political parties ahead of 2027 polls amid judicial middling. Is that middling? Middling verdicts. Okay. The interesting thing about INEC and their little fingers inside of political parties is how much should they interfere, or where does that cross the line into being illegal? The truth is this: whether you like it or not, they're vested with the responsibility of identifying or recognizing which candidates are being put forward by the parties. In a situation where the parties are asking for recognition that we are a proper party and you don't have a candidate, or you still have disputing factions here and there, it becomes a problem for them. So they do have to interfere somehow. But how much interference is a problem, is the question here. I like to balance things out when it comes to who are in Benin Republic already, and will be bringing us the details about what's happening there as they observe these elections for 2027. So, did you find anything fantastic during the week?
Well, nothing, to be fair. It was just, well, apart from, coming to the office and, having to see a part going live.
Oh, nice.
Just enjoying the view.
You should be a part of it soon. be a part of a party.
But yeah, it was an interesting life. So yeah,
All right, Grant.
nothing really serious happened this
You
week.
had a chill week.
I did.
Tell you what, let's take a break now. When we come back, we'll have the papers for you. Just stay tuned. You're welcome back. It's time for the dailies like we promised before we went. It is Breakfast Extra. So, Queen, may I
Yes.
begin?
Yes, you can, Masino.
Or would you like to go ladies first?
No, it's okay.
All right,
No
thank you.
pressure.
No pressure. Let's start with the Saturday Punch, shall we? Saturday Punch has this front and center big headline: how terrorists overran military base killed General Brimer. And soldiers, the soldiers. Survivors recount midnight terror, lucky escape, Tinubu Lord's bravery, 49 villages, 10 bandits killed in fresh attacks. Very sad. We heard about this all week. In fact, it wasn't just one location, there were multiple. And of course, the reactions that came from the authorities, but still Nigerians are crying. If you go on social media, you see plenty of celebrities. I can't remember the name of the very pretty Nigerian actress. I think earlier on in the week, she put out a post that was very concerning, very, very sad. At the very top, 2027 elections, NBA accuses judges and lawyers of breaking Electoral Act provisions. That on page 6. An INEC chairman denies X account, warns against fake social media posts. Commission postpones voter revalidation till after 2027 polls. There we go. Thank you very much for the thoughtfulness. Bad timing from initially. Gunmen kill family of 8 in Plateau, very sad. And mother-daughter murdered by kidnappers in Ondo. To Yvonne Jegede here, marriage doesn't favor women, she says. I don't know about that. What do you think, real quick?
Well, marriage is not something you go in. It's not a fast food where you just go and pick anything and leave. It has to be intentional. I feel like there's a lot of people go into marriage with the thought of, if it doesn't work out, I'll just get a divorce. That's not how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be, better for worse. Of course, you don't want the worst part, but you're choosing a life partner. You're choosing somebody to have life with.
But despite all of that, she's saying it still doesn't favor women.
Maybe it's not for some people.
Okay.
Because it's also written in the Bible, some people, it's not for some people. So if it's not for you, then don't go into it. But if it's for you, then
lonely life.
take your heart into it.
What else do we have? You're going into the Telegraph,
Yes,
aren't
let's
you?
do the Saturday Telegraph.
All right. Saturday Telegraph has these headlines.
Yes, and he says, thank you, Masino, right at the center, not having credible opposition on the ballot, dangerous for democracy. Find that on pages 2 and 20. Democracy is imperiled where choices are weak and compromise, says Ubani. It can't happen, but we must remain vigilant, says Pogo. Nigerians must stop Tinubu before he becomes an emperor, Olaita says. And JAM delisted 23 CBT centers over technical failures ahead of 2026 UTME. I have nothing to say about JAM at this time. $1 trillion economy. FG operationalizes plan for economic growth target. How obsolete equipment, lack of political will, reverse gains, says military sources. Will defeat terrorism, Tinubu reassures Nigerians.
For the upteenth time.
America's evacuate of embassy staff, national emergency, says Obi. Advisory signals loss of confidence in federal government.
That brought plenty of concern to me.
Yeah, but they do that every year.
Yeah, but it's not just the act itself, it's what follows. What exactly are they planning when they give these advisories and perhaps sometimes even ask officials to leave the country? That's what you have to worry about. And these are very tiny little baby steps. And I'm telling you, it's leading somewhere. We just can't define it yet.
No, but you know that as an American citizen, wherever you are, even
you will
when
get these
the whole
advisories.
Dubai
I agree.
issue happened.
But with what's happening now, these are just little signs that we need
No,
to get.
I don't think so, because if it's something that has been happening over the years, when it comes to their citizens, they don't joke with them. Even when it's raining season here, a lot of them go back home because of flood and stuff. It's something they've been doing like all the time. So now that it's happening now, so it's not really
It's still an indicator.
It's an indicator.
It's still an
but
indicator,
since it has
regardless
always
if
been
you
there,
ask
you can't
me.
really say. But well, Nigeria.
Okay, what else do you have, or is that, would that be all?
No, I think we have one more. Just right at the top, court jails 386 terrorists in 4 days. I would like to see pictures of these terrorists and their names. Again, bandit strike, Inquirer community kill 5 forest guards.
All right. We're going to go straight to The Guardian now. The Guardian newspaper for today. Nigeria, insecurity defies military tactics. So plenty of riders here. 8 die in fresh play to attack. Gunmen shoot mother, daughter dead in Ondo. Hariwa kicks, questions Tinubu's capacity. Army clarifies death of General Brima in Borno ambush. And that's the major headline. At the top for The Guardian, why false sexual rape allegations should be punished. Of course it should. And that's that picture of the girl who went viral 2 months ago, isn't it? I wonder what's happened with that case. I think we need more information about that one. Should dig it out. And INEC, managing opposition political parties ahead of 2027 polls amid judicial middling. Is that middling? Middling verdicts. Okay. The interesting thing about INEC and their little fingers inside of political parties is how much should they interfere, or where does that cross the line into being illegal? The truth is this: whether you like it or not, they're vested with the responsibility of identifying or recognizing which candidates are being put forward by the parties.
Yeah.
In a situation where the parties are asking for recognition that we are a proper party and you don't have a candidate, or you still have disputing factions here and there, it becomes a problem for them. So they do have to interfere somehow. But how much interference is a problem, is the question here. I like to balance things out when it comes to these things, because everybody says the INEC is doing that. But the truth is, they are within certain rights when it comes to the amount of interference that they can have.
And another thing, I agree with you, but another thing is, like you said, how much interference are they supposed to have? Because most times there are rules and laws.
Let's not call it interference. Let's just say
power.
Party management,
decision making, or you know, just having to go into a party and making decisions.
Hey, interference. Interference is
you see?
Let's do interference. There is more inside of the on the front page for The Guardian. Supreme Court backs Nekonde Nestoil in a landmark receivership ruling, and court jails 383 terrorists in 4 days. You read that one from the previous paper. Tinubu inaugurates Bielsa's 60 megawatts gas turbine and other projects. Commends Diri's development strides, and Hajj 2026. Saudi carrier Flynas declares readiness to airlift Nigerian pilgrims. Are we still funding pilgrims in Nigeria? Wasn't there a halt on that from last year? I'm not too sure. But that's the front page for The Guardian newspaper for Saturday. What do you have?
Let's go to the Saturday Vanguard.
Saturday Vanguard.
Yes. Like the fact they always put our, beautiful actresses just to make the news.
A bit distracting, but go on. See what it did there? It distracted you from the from the actual message.
Right beside it at the center, youth hit hard. 14.3 billion Nigerians consumed illicit drugs in 1 year. 1 in 5 youths affected. Survivors regret, families lament. Addiction spreading like wildfire, Dr. Ayankola says. And right below, Charlie Boy, I lived wild, did drugs, survived cancer. Now I have a new life. If my father were alive, unleashes his darkest secrets in his book, 999.
I would like to read that. And what a title for a book. Do you know why I like it?
Tell me.
It's the enigmatic nature of the figure 999. What have you always seen him as? As the outlaw, the prodigal. Now, turn 999 upside down.
Let's not go there.
It's interesting. I like the poetry in it.
I agree. Delta is caught no more last hope of common men. Okwama people cries out. You find that on page 13. Terrorist ex-senatorial candidate bags 10-year jail term for selling petrol to Boko Haram. Interesting. No comment. NBA warns against judicial interference in party affairs. Interesting. And right at the top, 2027, opposition eyes united front against APC. ADC crisis, court slates Monday for judgment in suit against MAC-led executives. I guess this week is going to be filled. How Abdulrazak is transforming Kwara, Olododo says. Bloody Holy Week, 147 killed in Nigeria.
In 1 week.
Happy resurrection.
It's very sad.
Right.
There's more for the Blueprint weekend. First off, a tribute to Bola Ige, the unforgettable hero, but at the very top, security forces neutralized 40 terrorists, rescued 72 hostages in 1 week, dismantled illegal refinery sites, foiled multiple attacks, disrupted terrorist logistics networks. The big headline for the blueprint is 2027 ADC's ship sinks deeper as leadership, illegal tussles rock party stability. Mark-led ADC remains de-recognized, says INEC. Atiku Obi Rauf, ex-Senate president, seeking alternative platform. Are they now? What's happening to the coalition? Nigerians had, well, some Nigerians had so much hope for it. It's many people argue that it was just a movement from before and not really a party or a platform. Party under pressure from INEC's conventions primaries timeline, says Kantiok. To the side of that, FG secures 386 convictions out of 508 cases in mass terrorism trial. I think that's where you get that conviction for the lady who was responsible for, feeding the terrorists. And at the bottom, severe fans attack Akko, Ejuke, amidst relegation battle. And Casino sets to hold inaugural mass wedding for 1,000 couples. I'd like to hear your take on this. We just talked about marriage, didn't we? It's not for everybody, but Casino's like, nope, you're getting married, you're getting married, everybody's getting married. And bandits kill 5 forest guards in fresh attack on Kwara community. Lastly, for the blueprint, Nigerian equities extend rally, gain 392 billion naira. Right here. Moving on now.
Yes, let's move on to the nation. Right at the center, ADC crisis. MAC faction targets PRP, orders amidst uncertainty. FHC decides leader's fate on Monday. Here's Gombe's suit on Tuesday. Confucian Truths National Convention slates for April 14th. Of course, we can see the picture of the Bayelsa governor and former President Goodluck Jonathan and our very fave president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I think that is in Bayelsa State.
Goodluck Jonathan has been getting plenty of recognition lately.
Yeah.
I'll tell you why. Because people seem to want him to come back.
No, no.
Easy, girl.
Take what you picked.
Really?
Yes.
You're of the opposite.
So I think this is a situation of the angel I knew, or the devil
angel I know is better than the devil.
Angel. Yeah,
Oh,
the devil I know is better than the angel that I don't know. So
you do recognize him as a devil. Well, under the circumstances with which he was a president.
Yes. So,
and his inabilities, or let's say
yes, I think
flaws.
all our presidents have had their flaws. But looking at it now, a lot of people say, back
he
then.
had the least flaw.
Exactly.
Okay.
You
so
know.
perhaps that would, the conditions are different.
But it's still but that is still not the point. You can't be looking at your past and what was happening then and what's happening now. It's
Different.
not the same. So I think we should give more grace. But in as much as we're giving grace, the leaders need to understand that time is running out for a lot of people. We're running out of patience.
I'll put it in boxing language. Just take your championship belts and
Bam.
run. I got this. I'm not doing this again.
Leave.
Is there any more?
Yes, there is. Right under it said, my ex-deputy plotted to topple me, says Kano governor. Stop diverting our attentions. Justice is coming. Terrorist. Court convicts 386 in 4-day Abuja trial. Have you seen any picture of this?
No, but these are confirmed. These were terrorists, and let's just let the court do its thing. I'm glad that they're doing something now, and I'm glad that the public is being made aware, because that serves as deterrent. So, good on the courts. Thank you. Do your thing.
Okay. Deaf autistic girls battle unwanted pregnancy. Deaf autistic girls battle unwanted pregnancies as randy men go berserk. What is going on? I have to take a pause to read that.
I'll let you express yourself.
What is going on? Because she's deaf, so she will not be able to say what you did.
I think we had one or two of these instances here on Breakfast Extra before you came in, and it's a very sad situation. Exactly what you've just noted could be the instance here, and it's not just one situation. There are many across the country, and it's not just deaf people, it's people who have mental issues as well that are being taken advantage of by men who have no scruples. Unfortunate, and I understand the concern and how it hits you. So,
Yeah.
But that's on the nation, yes?
Shame on the men. Yes, then, of course, just a little bit. I cried in my room when Oni's wives were deserting him, says his eldest sister. And right above, Nigeria would achieve stable electricity to power growth, says Tinubu commissions IPP roads, bridges in Bayelsa.
Let me jump off of that and jump into the Weekend Trust because we have this very beautiful cartoon. We're going to have a mini strip series here. Questions for the Weekend Trust. Questions 3.3 trillion naira power bailout can't answer. Now, that cartoon there is... I love the machinery that it seems this character who seems to be depicting the president is shoveling money into. So the 3.3 trillion naira bailout is supposed to help save the power sector, especially at the heart of this are the discos. They're directly responsible for giving us electricity. And we are supposed to pay back, not just us, but also government parastatals and all of that. Although Aso Rock is now on solar, so maybe they are no longer paying the discos and all. But the problem is this, with the arbitrary nature of which you are charging consumers have lost that trust. In fact, it's not even the discos' fault because the discos aren't even getting back the money they're putting in to generate that electricity. And even if the government is owing the electricity companies, you can imagine how bad the situation is.
Why are we owing though?
Big question. So now this 3.3 trillion naira bailout is supposed to help save the discos, infuse back that money and perhaps get it running again. However, is it a question of a system or structure? Will this structure, even if it is brought up to speed, maintain its order, or will it break down again and we'll have a problem with the national grid?
I like the fact that that's one of the conversations we're having.
Yes, we are having this conversation.
I would really like to know, because all I can see on that thing while they're shoving the money in my mind, I'm like, okay, maybe the money is the plaster.
No, the money is being burnt. It's in the fire. Real quick, so we can end this segment and move on to our first conversation. How stray bullet killed my 14-year-old niece. Sad story there. And general elections, the ADC pushback. The picture of them
pushing the bus.
Is that real? I hope that's not generated. Rainy season battle before farmers. INEC postponed voters revalidation, told that before. And from privilege to politics, elite children in 2027 race.
No comment.
That's about the Buhari instance, and I mean Buhari's son, who's also vying for office. That's, or those, are the dailies, at least the front pages for you this morning. You might want to pick one up and read, or join our conversations for this morning. We're touching on some of those as we go. Let's do a short break. When we come back, we begin in earnest with Breakfast Extra.
Welcome back to, of course, our first big report inside Breakfast Extra Saturday edition. Tensions are rising in Nigeria's political space as opposition voices intensify accusations against the Independent National Electoral Commission, alleging bias and a lack of neutrality in handling party affairs ahead of the 2027 elections. These concerns came to the forefront following protests at INEC headquarters in Abuja, where members of the African Democratic Congress ADC demanded recognition of a factional leadership, deepening the ongoing crisis within the party. From calls to save democracy to legal battles and public demonstrations, the situation raises broader questions about electoral integrity, internal party democracy, and the role of INEC as an impartial umpire. As political activities begin to gather momentum ahead of 2027, many are watching closely to see how these disputes are resolved and what these could mean for Nigeria's democratic process. Let's take a quick look at how events unfolded in this package.
Members of the ADC took their protest to INEC, rejecting what they describe as interference in the party's leadership. After the demonstration, party leaders insist the decision to reject their leadership is wrong and unacceptable, arguing that the division within the party is being misrepresented and deliberately sabotaging their efforts.
We just told INEC in plain language that we don't agree with the interpretation of the status quo ante bellum. That is not what the judgment is. they've interpreted it wrongly. And we want INEC to reverse herself.
You cannot stop people who are bent on being used by external forces because it's no longer about grievances. Now they have an agenda to destabilize the party. And I'm glad you made reference to the PDP. And it happened to other parties as well, apart from the PDP.
They started first by making sure parties were not registered, because they were afraid that if they registered new party, they will lose the election. Whether they like it or not, they will lose the election.
But I think for the future of Nigeria, democracy of Nigeria must work.
What we've seen is a government that does not value the lives of people, and they are scared to be judged by the same people. So what they are trying to do is suppress all forms of opposition and competition.
Following the protest, members of an aggrieved PDP faction aligned with Seyi Makinde paid a solidarity visit to the camp of David Mark, holding a closed-door meeting and reaffirming support and commitment to democracy.
We've seen what has been happening within the political space, the court, and the protest today. So we came to show solidarity and to commit to a clean, democratic space in our country.
What they are counting on is that we just give up and we are conquered mentally, so they just have a free fall in the next elections. But that's not going to be acceptable. That's not going to happen.
Our votes, we count. Yes. We vote, and our votes, we count. And if they don't count anybody that rigs, we take whatever comes up from it.
With rival factions holding firm on their positions and legal battles looming, the ADC's internal crisis continues to raise concerns about party unity and the broader political landscape. In Abuja for News Central, Sumaya Abubakar.
Now joining us, we have Zachary Idris. He's a political activist, and also Declan Ihekari, National Coordinator of Activists for Good Governance. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us. You are welcome. Now, I'd like us to take a very critical look at this, especially when it comes to the responsibility of INEC. Just before we entered into the segment, I was talking to Queen here, and I was asking how much influence or interference she thinks that INEC has in the processes of political parties, noting that they have the responsibility to recognize the candidates that are put forward. So if these candidates are not put forward properly and with decorum, they would have to interfere, whether you like it or not. But how much interference does INEC have is the question. They're vested with the responsibility of, well, I've just mentioned them. So let me come to you, Zachary. How much interference is allowed when it comes to INEC's hands in the choice for leadership in these political parties, the different political parties?
That's a great question. It's a very simple answer. The role of INEC in political party administration is supervisory. What it means is that from time to time, it goes to look at what the party is doing to make sure they are doing it by the book. INEC by itself cannot conduct the internal administrative processes of a political party like they are attempting to do with the ADC now. INEC is not a court, and INEC by itself cannot create an interpretation, an imaginary interpretation of what the court has said in issues pertaining to political parties. And let us diffuse this to the lowest particle in terms of what is happening within the ADC now. In fact, I don't believe that there's something happening. But, the media, like in your introduction, you said factional leadership. That is, again, it's an indictment on the media. I think that the media in itself should go beyond just, pushing forward talking points to actually interrogate the issues. By now, I expect to see the media asking Nafi Bala, did you resign or did you not resign? Is this your signature or not? Do a deep dive, do further investigation, see if representations were made to INEC for Nafi Bala's resignation, and marry that with the pronouncement of court that return to status quo ante bello. For the layman, I'm not a lawyer, I'm also a layman, but for the layman, let's speak layman language, the position before the dispute, the position before the war. The question I will ask, was there ever a time in ADC when there was no leadership? if INEC now decides not to recognize any leadership in the ADC, has it not returned to an antebellum that it created for itself? That is the question that needs to be asked and answered. So, in my opinion, INEC role is supervisory. And I say this to say that the ADC now has it as a responsibility to go on with the internal party processes. I am aware that next week they are going to have their congresses, if that is the right word, convention, I'm not sure. And then I am aware that after that they'll proceed to party primaries. That has to go on. Whether INEC chooses to, supervise it or not, does not invalidate it, even according to our laws. So INEC is just an observer. If it decides not to observe, it is their own business, and it does not invalidate the process.
Well, Zachary, we could talk about the term used by the media when it comes to the different factions, but if each of these factions have leaders, then you would have to refer to them as factional leaders. But that's just syntax. In any case, I don't know about you, Zachary, but what I see here is not a failure of neutrality on part of INEC. I think it's a failure on part of structure. And if these are not spelled out, then that's where we have arrived here. The part where we are unsure how much influence INEC should have. Do you agree? Zachary still.
The only thing better than the truth is the whole truth. Whereas what you have said is truth, is the truth. But the whole truth is that we cannot pretend to not understand what is happening. Like I said in a prior appearance on your station, the monkey hand of the APC is seen in everything that INEC is doing, and sometimes even the pronouncement of the courts. But in this case, the pronouncement of the Court of Appeal is clear. Maintain status quo, antebellum, the position before the war. So the question I'm going to throw back at you is, was there ever a time in the ADC when there was no leadership? Because I know the RAF Nwosu leadership handed over smoothly under the supervision of INEC. So you see, INEC is playing the ostrich here. Under the supervision of INEC, there was a movement of leadership from the RAF Nwosu leadership to the David Mark leadership. So where is the gap? Where is the antebellum when there was no leadership? If there is none, then what you are saying is the monkey hand of the APC.
Right. I'm sure that I'm sure that Mazino has something else to say concerning what you just said. But before then, Declan, from a governance, and civic standpoint, how concerning is it that when political parties publicly, decide to challenge the neutrality of INEC? Like, what do you think will happen when this? What is the next thing that will happen after this?
Declan, we hope you're still with us, Declan. It seems Declan is frozen. Do we direct that to Zachary then?
Zachary, if you heard me, do you want to answer?
Your last line was the word neutrality.
Yes.
Which are beginning to emerge, showing the prior position of the present INEC chairman, Josh Amupiton, where he clearly was pro-APC and was even echoing APC position on Twitter. He has not come out to deny that. But if that has been established, that the chairman of INEC is pro-APC, both in words, action, and leaning, can we not then conclude that it is time for the man to resign his position? That was part of the position we went to present on the day of the protest. And in the course of your introduction, you said members of the ADC. I am not a member, at least a registered member of the ADC, which means I'm not a member. But I believe that Nigeria is entitled to a free, fair, and democratic process. I believe that the votes of the average Nigerian man must count. I speak for the common man. I believe that every electoral actor should be allowed a free space to practice their craft. I believe that political parties must be allowed to survive. Just look at the trajectory. They went into PDP and destroyed PDP using a man who was committing anti-party activity. And the man did not lose a single court case. Let's mention name, because sometimes I don't like to mention, but let's mention name. Nyesom Wike, in 2023, the present minister of the FCT, committed grievous sins against his own political party by going to support another party and even taking up a position in another political party's government. That is anti-party activities. The treason of party politics is anti-party activities. The same way someone who has committed treason against a country should be treated. That's the same way.
What did you think
INEC
INEC should have done in that? What did you think INEC should have done in the case you've just mentioned here, where one party member is holding a spot in another party?
So the question I will ask is, I will answer your question by asking a question. How come at the end of the day, it is the wicked faction that is recognized by INEC? That is the question. So we can do all the legal gymnastics and calisthenics. At the end of the day, the truth is what matters. And when there is no truth, there cannot be justice. Right. There cannot be fairness. There cannot be equity. This is my position on the matter. The truth is clear. How can a man who has committed grievous anti-party activities, worked against his own party, led other governors out of his own party, without officially decamping? Put that in context. He didn't leave the party. Up till this moment, he's still in the party, destroy the party from within, still be allowed to succeed in that party, whereas those who stayed in the party are now orphans elsewhere.
Zachary, these are very strong points that you make. These are very strong points that you make, and we're just storing them. We're clarifying here. I do have more for you, but first, let me confirm if Declan is still with us. Declan, are you still with us? Unfortunately, we've lost Declan's network. But Zachary, don't go. I have a question for you regarding internal party democracy and the influence of INEC, whether we should look inwards or outwards. But let's do a short break. And when we come back, I'll be asking you that very important question. Thank you for staying. Welcome back. Thank you for staying. From previously, Zachary has been with us since, but we are rejoined by Declan Ihekere. Declan, thank you very much for joining us. Declan, I hope you've been listening to Zachary's entries. I was going to ask him a question regarding internal party democracy and external blame here, because we see the political parties, especially the ADC, point fingers at the INEC to say, hey, you are being biased when it comes to the recognition of parties and party leadership, and this isn't right. But let's talk about internally now, the problems that these parties are going through. How much of the blame is to be put on the parties themselves with these tussles over leadership? Declan.
Fortunate that what we're experiencing today is happening under the watch of somebody or a president I tag in quotes, Mr. Democracy. That's the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who has a democratic background, in quotes. Very, very sad that we are where we are today under his watch. What we're seeing clearly is a total interference of an external body. And that external body is not far-fetched from the party in power today. This is the first time that I'm seeing a situation where a party in power is afraid, in spite of the fact that they have so much
Declan, I'm sorry, Declan, I'm sorry, but Declan, we're losing you. Our apologies, but we may not be able to continue with that audio because we really need to hear everything you're saying. So I'm going to throw this back at Zachary. Zachary, let's face facts. The party structures are all weak across our opposition. Are we admitting this? First, before throwing the blame on INEC's recognition of who they want to recognize.
That's a great question, but I'll answer it by, I do not believe that the internal party structures of political parties are weak. They are not. We have a central government, and our government is a very powerful one. So people say the president of Nigeria is the most powerful president in the world. When you do that in comparative terms, there's nowhere else in the world where a president is able to lead like he's a Baale, or like he's a chief, or like he's an Oba, or like he's an Obi, or like he's an Emir. He literally, his words are law. And you see every day, even in judicial gatherings, you hear people standing on the mandate and singing that anthem of subservience. On your mandate, they shall stand. Not us. We are not standing on that mandate. We are standing on the mandate of the Nigerian people. Now, it is not a weakness. I've given you a vivid explanation of what happened in the PDP, where a man had gone rogue had gone on an anti-party activity spree. And up to this point, the PDP were unable to do anything about it because each time you want to take action against him, they go to court and they win. Someone told me comically, and I think it's not a joke, that if Wike takes your wife and you take him to court, the court is going to charge you for not taking adequate care of your wife. That is how powerful these guys have become. And then you see in the Labour Party, where I once supported, in the Labour Party, we had an individual, an individual called Julius Abure, who, even after the pronouncement of court, the court had already said, we do not recognize you. The people in Labour Party say you are not their leader. We don't want you to continue. INEC refused to recognize the Nena Usman-led leadership of Labour Party until Peter Obi left Labour Party. Weeks later, they recognized that leadership. That should tell you what we are dealing with. We are dealing with the worst set of anti-democratic forces. And it is shocking, like Declan mentioned, that a man who has a democratic background, a man who, during my growing up, I was convinced that he is a Democrat. He's one of those who sponsored pro-democracy movement in Nigeria. Under his leadership, we are seeing the most anti-democratic posture of government ever seen since 1999. The way we are going, if we are not careful, we are going to have a Cameroonization of Nigeria, where the son of the president has now been made the vice president, even when we are not sure if the president is still with us or has gone to the great beyond. So if we are getting to the Cameroonization, we are getting to the Ugandanization of Nigeria, we are getting to the North Koreanization of Nigeria.
Okay,
and I want Nigerians to understand that from that perspective. This is not for ADC, for Peter Obi, for Kwankwanso, for Atiku. I mean, for God's sake, these men are made. There is none of these men who is broke. There's none of these men who is struggling to eat eggs. They eat chicken. They can't. The average Nigerians cannot eat egg, but these men are already eating chicken.
All right,
chicken
then.
the eggs. So they don't have any problem.
All right,
this is
then,
about you as a Nigerian. This is about your voice in a democracy.
Zachary, thank you very much. We have Declan back, by the way.
Declan, thank you for joining us. I'm sure that the network has been not so good for you, but if you can hear me, I think my question now is, do you think we should be protesting or going to court will be our best solution in this case? And if for any reason the internal democracy situation is not managed, should INEC step back?
Well, like I was saying, a situation where what is happening now in this country about our democratic understanding shouldn't be happening under the dispensation. Knowing fully that Mr. President happens to have come from the democratic background. And it's so sad that you also have an INEC that needed to be neutral, now playing a role as if the neutrality is no longer there. When you say independent, it means you are totally free from being dictated to. But we're having an INEC now that is very clear that the ruling party is total in control of. And it's very sad. I've been saying this time with that number. I don't know why the current administration should be afraid of opposition. If truly you are doing well, if truly you have actually given out the dividends of democracy to the people, if truly you are in charge of the mind of the Nigerian people, if truly the governors that they come from their party are fully with you, I don't know why the current government should be afraid of opposition. It's very, very sad. And Nigerians should not allow this to happen.
And what are the signs for 2027? What is this predicting if things continue this way? First of all, point blank, what's your take?
It's very clear that what we have is a one-party nation. That's the meaning. It means there's no opposition. Opposition has been killed through the instrumentality of the current government. And it's a shame, a big shame, a very big shame that ought not to be. And if this government wins under this current activity or action that's going on, the acceptability of the government by the people will be very, very poor. If you must win an election, you must win based on popular acceptability. But where you win an election after suppressing voices, suppressing other parties, automatically what you are telling us is that people don't care. Nigerians don't matter. What matters is your interest and your interest alone. So the INEC, as far as I'm concerned, has a duty to correct the mistake they have made for interfering into an internal arrangement of a political party. They ought not to have interfered, if not that somebody somewhere is dictating the tune for INEC.
So while you're calling for INEC to correct the wrong that they have done, where is the call out for the opposition parties that are in disarray? Because their work as INEC is directly linked to the political party structure and also who they put forward, which seems to be in contention currently across most of the parties. And that's where the problem is. It doesn't seem like there's an answer yet, if you ask me, as to the reach for INEC, where they can interfere up until, because they do have a responsibility at the end of the day. And while the Save Democracy protest is not just about the ADC, let's look at it from a very objective point of view. What do you expect INEC to do?
As far as I'm concerned, what happened to PDP, INEC has hand in it. What happened to ADC, INEC has hand in it. And what I'm saying is this. If you watch the pronouncement of the court on the position of ADC, they say return to status quo. And what was it? Who was there? Who were those there before going to court? And like I said, I need to be very direct about what is going on. And that is why I was able to link it to the fact that we have a panicky government. As far as I'm concerned now, we have a panicky government. It's only a panicky government that does or that accepts what is going on right now. Where a government is afraid of the opposition, they go all out to destabilize the opposition with all the instrumentality that is available to them. Don't forget, he that pays the piper dictates the tune. Who employed Ankuto, Josiah, that's the INEC chairman? Who appointed him? Who appointed other people that are under him? The same government in power. But what I'm saying is this: is very unfortunate that what is happening under the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And it ought not to be. Is either he's not aware of what is going on, the killing or the destroying of opposition parties, or somebody somewhere are using him against the opposition. And INEC, as an unbiased umpire in quotes, should do the needful by not interfering into internal party affairs.
Zachary, there was a lot of things going through my mind and, remembering some comments that I saw. Let's go back to 2020 NSAS protest and how it ended. And of course, most of the people that came out for the protest were celebrities and all that. We didn't see any politician per se, although maybe they were tweeting. And now we're seeing a lot of, heavyweight from ADC coming out to protest because of INEC's involvement in terms of internal democracy. In all of this, would you say that what we're seeing here is more of stomach infrastructure close to election? Because it feels like a lot of things are happening and election is just at heart. So will you say that this is more like a distraction so that we don't see the main thing that's happening behind the scenes? Zachary.
Where you purport that distraction is coming from, are you saying that the opposition are distracting themselves or the government is trying to distract the opposition? Let me understand that question.
Well, so what I'm trying to say is a lot of Nigerians are saying, why is all of this happening now?
The timing.
The timing.
I mean, when should it have happened? Is it a year ago when the Bola Tinubu administration was the middle of their term or at the beginning of the term? This is a political season. And as we approach the elections, we are going to see a lot of conversations surrounding the work that INEC is doing, if they are doing it right or not, and even, in fact, the internal party processes. The more we come, a lot of drama will come. I give you one example. There is an unconstitutional clause that if you lose primaries in a party, you cannot go to another political party in the new electoral. It's all constitutional because the constitution allows you freedom of association, gives you latitude to associate, and there is no timeline to when you can choose to associate. So they put it there so that by the time they disappoint a lot of persons in the APC, like my senator here, my senator we are elected, the one I voted for, Senator representing Edo South, we elected him under the platform of the Labour Party. He has since gone to stand on the mandate. I now know that they plan to disappoint him. He will not be able to go and get expression in any other political party. So that is what they plan to do across the country. Even some governors are going to be disappointed. They will not be able to go to another political party, which is unconstitutional. I expect that those in the political firmament should challenge it. Those of us in the activism circle, it's not our business. That one is their business. The one that concerns me is that democracy must be allowed to thrive in Nigeria. We cannot have a one-party democracy. Even with how hard they have worked, secured 31 governors in the APC and another maybe 3 or 4 in other parties but loyal to the APC, they still are scared of an election. And then I think I need to marry this to where this ends. Where does this end? Let me tell Nigerians what will happen if they allow this kind of political brigandage to succeed. At the end of the election, we'll have a one-party state. At the end of the next tenure of that one-party state, we'll have a one-man government like we have in Lagos. In Lagos, what we have is a one-man government. The man decides everything, from the road you pass to the food you eat to everything, to how much you pay in taxes, to even the quality of wife you're able to marry. It's all part of it. People don't know that this thing has a way to reconnect back to government. They don't know. Now, we have a one-man nation after 2027 if we allow this to succeed. And after that, we are going to probably have a president for life. And people don't think this is possible. But let me explain how possible it is to you. What needs to happen for you to have a president for life is for the constitution to be altered. For the constitution to be altered, the Senate and the House of Rep have to agree on it, and the 36 State House of Assembly, at least I think 2/3 of them, need to agree on it. As we speak today, the House of Rep and the Senate are standing on the mandate, which my friend Peter would say they shall collapse. And then if you take it beyond that, 31 governors are standing on the mandate. We even have governors whose national anthem is on your mandate, we shall collapse. Stand for them, but collapse for us. And then if the governors that have the state assembly in their pockets are asked to change the constitution to perpetuate a man as president for life, do you think they will not do it? This is the real danger. So Nigerians must resist this with every fiber in their vein.
Okay, then Zachary, real questions there, real strong questions. But let's wrap this up. I'm wondering what the consequences are for voter participation come 2027. So Declan, let me ask you, if this distrust continues to rise, let's talk about the people who are responsible for the numbers, and I mean the people who are going to go make those votes. In the past year, we only saw about 20% of registered voters come out to vote. What might we be looking at this year if this continues so? Declan?
There will be... Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead. If you can do this in just a minute, Declan.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
We can.
I said, if this continues, what you expect to see is total voter apathy. And we're in a country where whether one person or two person votes, a winner will be declared, which is, to me, is even inappropriate. There should be certain percentage that should be won by whoever is to be declared. But we have seen a situation in this country where a winner that scores very low still being declared the winner. So there will be total voter apathy. It has started right now, but it will be very, very bad for an incoming government because the acceptability by the people will not be there. And if you are a government, you don't have the popular acceptability of the people that you want to rule over, then the credibility question will be there, and it will haunt you throughout your administration. If truly the government in power really wants to do the needful, I will expect a situation where now they are totally out of the whole thing. Because I must confess to you, it is very clear that the government in power is aware of what is going on. I give you an instance. This is the first time in my life that I'm seeing a serving minister of a country being a member of a political party and also a member of another political party in absentia. And the ruling party is accepting that. So there will be total apathy. 2027 election, as far as I am concerned, with what is happening now, has been, I won't say it has been won. Somebody has been declared the winner. I won't say the person won, because you can only win when there is competition. So it's too bad and extremely bad.
Thank you, Declan Hiekari and Zachary Idris, for joining us and having this conversation with us this morning. We appreciate it. Thank you. Thank
you indeed, gentlemen. Now, let's stay tuned, because we'll be moving on to other conversations right here inside of Breakfast Extra. And you're welcome. It's time for our second conversation here. Let's talk power. Now, Nigeria's power sector is once again in focus. But is there ever a time it hasn't been in focus, is the question we should be asking. Well, this time, following the federal government's approval of a 3.3 trillion naira debt settlement plan aimed at clearing long-standing obligations owed to power generation companies, also known as GenCos. According to the presidency, it is designed to stabilize the electricity value chain, improve liquidity in the sector, and ultimately boost power supply across the country. But while the plan has been described as necessary to address years of accumulated debt, it has also sparked debate. Questions are being raised about transparency, funding sources, and whether this bailout will translate into real improvements in electricity for Nigerians. Now, at the heart of it all is a familiar concern. Will this intervention finally fix the sector? Or is it another temporary solution to a long-standing structural problem? Well,
joining us now is Sunday Oduntan, MD and CEO of the Association of Nigerian Electricity Distributors. I hope I pronounced your name.
Oduntan.
Oduntan. I apologize.
Thank you. That's correct.
Welcome, sir. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much.
I think I'll just go straight to the point. Mazino was asking you right before we came live.
You stole my question. Go ahead.
Where is the 3.3 trillion naira settlement plan
coming from?
Where is it coming from?
Where?
And where is it?
Apart from yours and my pocket.
Where is it coming from? That's a question for the government, not for me. But surely it's coming from the government.
Now then, to follow up with that, okay, go ahead.
And in your introduction, I heard you mentioning bailout. It is not a bailout. Then we also all need to understand where we're coming from.
Yes.
Why 3.3 trillion naira debt settlement? How has it got to that stage? What happened? Now, number one, this is debt payment for legacy gas debt. Legacy. Debt owed to the gas suppliers many, many years ago, over the years, all the way. Right from 1999, prior to 1999, then 1999, all the way through to 2026. There have been debt owed to generation companies, money meant for payment for fuel, which is gas. And you know, we have more gas-fired stations, power plants, than the hydro. We have mainly 3 hydroelectric power plants: Jeba, Shiroro, and Kainji. The 3 of them are in Niger State. And those 3 put together do not give us more than 1/3 of what we currently produce, which means we generate electricity more from gas-fired thermal plants, right? And when your fuel, what you use to generate for hydro is water, for thermal plants is gas. So that means gas is very important, and the gas suppliers are not part of the power sector. These are international oil companies, otherwise known as IOCs. Okay? So if you don't pay for the product, there comes a time when they will not supply the product. And that's what has happened.
Oh.
So they are pulling the plug that, look, oh, they are not paying all this accumulated debt. You're just paying part payment over the years. Mm-hmm. And I want our viewers to understand the value chain. We talk about this thing all the time. We are like 3 siblings. Mm. I represent the youngest one, which is the distribution arm of the value chain. Mm. We have the generation companies. Those are the producers of electricity. And the producers are the ones that require the ingredients. Mm-hmm. Like a baker requires flour.
Yes.
So they need gas. They have to pay the gas supplier. That's why every time you pay for electricity, the chunk of what you pay goes to generation companies. Mm-hmm. They have the highest chunk. Barely 24-25% belong to the discos that I represent. Mm-hmm. So all stakeholders upstream has to be paid. And every time people don't pay or they steal energy, it's affecting our own ability to pay upstream. We are like collection agents, distribution. So we have producers at the top, followed by the transporter, otherwise known as Transmission Company of Nigeria. And that Transmission Company of Nigeria is 100% owned by the government. That's another matter. Mm. The government has no business doing business. That's another matter. Now, below the value chain comes me, the distributor, the one that you know, the one that you abuse, the one that you accuse of everything, the one that brings the power to you and collect money from you. But when people fail to realize that we are producer, transporter, before we have the distributor or retailer, people think, one, there's no light, you have to blame the distributor. Whereas I can only distribute to you what has been produced and transmitted to me. But we do not engage in blaming other stakeholders. We have to look at why are we not producing enough? Why are we not transporting enough? And this is one of it. Mm. Why should we have debt hanging for many years?
And that's the question I was going to ask.
Government go. Mm. And now one government now say, I'll pay 3.3 trillion.
So, Mr. Oduntan, my question now is where, you've partially answered it, but I'll still ask, where exactly is the debt coming from? Is it simply from the consumers like you and I?
Where is the debt coming from?
Yes, or does this also include the government? Because we do know that the government is also owing these companies themselves, because, I mean, first of all, the Aso Rock has been taken off the grid, so, I mean, let's leave that on. But where exactly is that debt coming from? Is it a matter of trust? And I'll explain after your answer.
Thank you very much. Number one, every time you pay for electricity as consumers, the first thing that you need to understand is how much am I paying? Mm-hmm. Why am I paying this amount? So in the case of our customers nowadays, we have band classification. Mm. We have people in band A, B, C, D, and E. As at this morning, only people in band A pay the true cost of electricity. Mm. Every other person, and this is the majority, they are subsidized up to about 37% of what they should be paying. In other words, nobody in band B, band C, D, or E is paying the true cost of electricity. Mm-hmm. Apart from the non-payment issue, collection problem, apart from the issue of energy theft, even those who are paying, if you're in band B, C, D, or E, you are actually being subsidized by government to the tune of about 37% of what you should be paying. What that means is that over the years, government have failed to pay the whole subsidy. Mm. So as we collect, and when the time for settlement comes, let's look at government as the father of the home. Mm. I said we are 3 siblings. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Our eldest brother is the generation company. Mm-hmm. The next person is our brother, the transmission company. Yeah. With the youngest one, we are the younger person in the house, distribution company. We all live in the same house, but with different rooms. Now, along the corridor, key to the house and everything is held by the father of the house, the landlord. That's the government. So when government say, I recognize that the cost of electricity per kilowatt hour should be 209 naira, for example. The cost should be 209 naira. Please don't ask people to pay 209. Let them be paying 64 naira. I will give you the difference. Mm-hmm. And when they don't pay the difference, they recognize it, they write it down. That is what is called shortfall. They keep writing it down, and it's piling up. So it got to a point where those who are supposed to be paid are not being paid as I went due. This is how and why the gas suppliers are trying to pull the plug. And that is why in recent weeks, there was this reduction in electricity supply across the country. It happened because once you cannot get gas, you cannot fire your turbines.
Yeah. Mr. Oduntan,
that's the issue.
Let's do a quick break here, but when we come back, remember when I asked whether it was a matter of trust, which once again you've almost partially answered. I'm still going to ask it, but let's go on a quick break and we'll be back to continue with this conversation. Welcome back, and we're talking about the 3.3 trillion naira bailout for power in Nigeria here, and we have Mr. Oduntan who's still with us. We've been asking some very interesting questions, and Mr. Oduntan, you have given us such a play-by-play explanation of exactly how power works in Nigeria here. I do have a question on trust and structure, but you had one that was very relevant.
Yes, and I
to what
like the way he's explaining these conversations, because that is how I like, that is the fastest way I understand, just like strips. But before Mazino asked you about trust, I wanted to ask, the 3.3 trillion naira, is that all we're owing, or is just
Is that all that's been accumulated?
Well, like I said, this is payment owed for gas supply. Gas that has been supplied and has been used
over time.
So this is not about payment for this morning or tomorrow or last week.
And you say it's legacy payments.
Yeah, that's why I
so
keep
this
on
means
saying
from
legacy.
years from before.
And I keep repeating, seeing your screen, it is not a bailout.
It isn't, huh?
It's payment for what you are owing. And as you are paying this, I have no doubt some other debts are already still piling up.
Well, the government wants to soften the tone and say it's a bailout, at least to be seen to be acting, so they're going to use the word bailout.
If you inherit your father's property, and you see, we say in the house, 3 children of the same parents, we live in different rooms, but we live in the same house. And as we have a father. But sometimes our father changes over time. Sometimes 8-year period, sometimes 4-year period. There was a time when our father was there perpetually. That was the one called military government until there was a coup. Now, every time you have a new father, we are still the same children. The father will now say, I've inherited debt from the former father, our late father.
Bear with me.
Now, I will pay. I will pay. And then they don't pay, then the thing piles up. And those who are supplying us the lifeline, in this case the fuel, the gas, are saying, if I don't get payment, I'll pull the plug. I'll just close the tap, no more. And that's why the father said, okay, let's verify. How much is it? They said about 6-point-something trillion. The father now said, let me call in my own auditors to verify the payment. Back and forth, the father came up with the conclusion that what I can verify is 3.3 trillion naira. But that's not for today or yesterday or last month. As at a particular time.
That's what
when the discussion started. Now, the father said, okay, I will pay this. By paying that is a major intervention. But once that is paid, that means the gas supply will continue to supply gas. But that does not mean that we should continue. Because what we are still doing, we are subsidizing the rich and the poor together. Because if Mr. Sanwo-Olu, the governor of Lagos State, is living within a band B or band C, or Mr. Dr. Hamzat, if they are living in an area that is band C, they will be subsidized by government.
Irrespective of their class.
That is not right. Universal subsidy is not good. And that money, no government can bear. It's not sustainable. Now, the reason why that is happening in Nigeria is because we do not have accurate data. How do we know the rich and the poor, the old and the young, the unemployed and the executive who works and is
So,
well
sir,
paid
based
in
on
Central TV.
now, based on that's why I asked the question whether it's a thing of trust. First off, you did say that we're being subsidized whether we like it or not, from band B to band D.
Yes.
Now, even those people who are paying are not even paying everything. They're still unable to pay this one, take this one. You know, at least let me breathe. Please pity me. Now, is it a matter of trust in the sense that the reason why I'm not paying 100% of my usage is because they don't even give me light anyway. So why am I going to pay?
So you've been mentioning band B. What happened to band
because
A?
From what I can remember,
Band A are the patriotic Nigerians, fantastic Nigerians.
I need to move.
Band A customers are the ones that are sustaining this system, the power sector.
And they include who?
Because they are the ones that are paying. And most Band A customers have meters. And most meters are prepaid meters.
Yes.
We only have, the exception is few Band A people that are thieves who are bypassing their meters. Those are very unpatriotic thieves. And we have the very affluent thieves, rich one in GRS. We have the poor one in the slums. So it cut across. But what I'm saying is, for those who are not in Band A, let me say this clearly, and please take note of this. I understand how you feel when you're not being well served, when you're not getting 24-hour electricity or 20 hours or even 10 hours or even 8 hours. But please, take note. If you have supply for only 15 minutes in a day, you have to pay for that 15 minutes. But that 15 minutes, there is a turbine somewhere, there's a machine, there's a generator somewhere that is running. If you put on your generator in the house, I better pass my neighbor for 15 minutes. It's consuming fuel. So people need to understand that. So there's trust issue. And I'll go into that.
Okay.
The truth is that Nigerians don't trust even their government. They don't trust service providers. Service providers don't trust end users. And end users don't even trust themselves. So we're a unique set of people in this country. People will say, when they give you a bill today, and this is another good example, the bill for this morning is not for last month to this morning. It's for 2 months ago to this day, last month. But because you have not had light in the last 1 week, and they bring a bill this morning, Saturday morning, you say, which one?
So that's a communication issue. So that's a communication issue.
And that's communication and trust issue.
But sir, what about the infrastructure issue? And this is not the consumer now. These are the GenCos, the transmission companies, and also the DISCOs. The infrastructure, even with this 3.3 trillion naira, you don't want me to say bailout, will it suffice to help put the structures back in, the infrastructure back in place so that we can have at least steady light or steady power, I beg your pardon?
The stage where we are, if anybody tells you that this payment to gas suppliers will put or renew our infrastructure, that person is lying. It will make things better, it will sustain the system for a while. The only reason or the only way this can help is for every stakeholder to still play their part, for military departments and agencies to be paying their bill. But people don't talk about that.
Do they pay their bill, these departments?
Many of them are not paying. Many are not paying, some are paying.
So who's the thief here? Is it the real actual consumers like Queen, or is it the departments and the agencies? Well, let's face facts.
All of us.
All of us.
All of us.
Okay.
All of us.
If
it's not limited to military department and agencies alone.
Right.
It's all of us. So, and at the end of the day, if anybody goes solar, let me also correct the impression. I've seen a lot of commentators. They were even condemning government, condemning people for going solar. For those that go solar, what they've done is they fill up the electricity that they will have been using, and that will be used for their next door neighbor, for somebody else. But what we have in this country is not enough for our population. We need to grow our electricity more. We're talking about that actually go to people, 5.5 thousand megawatts, 6,000 megawatts. Even 14,000 megawatts is not enough. We need at least between 28 and 32,000 megawatts. Because we are not having that. So anybody who's able to do green energy or is able to afford a standalone solar hybrid system or whatever is helping the nation. Because As long as other people are able to have more electricity, that is what we need. Incremental generation, more investment. So this 3.3 trillion will help a lot because it will open that tap.
And just cover the cost of what
gas,
we're owing
cost of gas.
used.
We should limit it to gas.
Right. Okay.
It's for generation companies, but you have not solved the whole problem. But you have solved a substantial part of the problem.
Yeah.
Because if you have a brand new car in your house and there's no petrol, no fuel for the car, that car cannot move. So no generation company can start their turbine, fire it, generate electricity without gas. That's what we're saying.
So while we have only little time left for this conversation, how can we best help ourselves as individuals? You mentioned solar now. Is this the best option? Because it seems to be the next biggest thing. While we're vying for electricity-powered vehicles and all of that, my wonder all the time is crazy. Where's the electricity to even charge it? If we do go solar, would we still be able to have that ability to push this what do you call it, e-vehicle campaign that we have going? Is solar our next option? Is it the answer? Disregarding
basically, what is the answer?
Yeah.
Well, to be sincere with you, talking about the issue of affordability, solar system or solar electricity through solar by individuals is not cheap.
No, it isn't.
It's an expensive option.
Yes.
What we can do as a nation is that even generation company, we can generate electricity through solar and still put it on the national grid. If you go to Kano and Jigawa State, the border between Kano and Jigawa is the hottest spot in Nigeria. And until we are able to harness this opportunity, if you go to the United States, Indianapolis, for instance, as you come out of the airport, you see a massive solar farm. That solar farm feeds the whole of that airport, the whole of that neighborhood. So we can do the same thing here. And let me also say that electricity from the grid is far, far cheaper than whether you are using generator or you are looking to buy your own lithium battery. The cost is not cheap. And when people make noise and, you know, about Bande, it's too much. Bande, which is the highest in Nigeria, is the cheapest in West Africa.
Oh, wow.
So when you look at it from that perspective, you will see that Nigerians want electricity. But the question is, are we honestly really, do we really want to pay for it? The answer is no, we don't want to pay for it. We like things free of charge. We want to treat electricity the way we treat our roads. Nigerians don't like roads being told. Toll gate care. We don't want toll.
So one last thing.
This is who we are.
One last thing, sir. It came to me when you spoke about Indianapolis, the name, and the fact that in some of these American states, I can actually generate power and sell to the discos. Is that a possibility in Nigeria?
It's possible. We just need to, you know, raise our game. We need to do something more in terms of technology. But if you have solar systems in your house, the excess that you generate can go back to the grid. But because in Nigeria, what we do is stand alone. So there's no system whereby you can even measure what goes. The machine can tell you exactly where you are, what you're generating, and what you are consuming.
But do I trust the external system to want to...
It's the fact that we don't have the technology yet. We do not have the system that enables you to transfer it to the national grid. We have a problem with our grid. We have a problem with our system. We have a problem with the way we even deal with our issues. We are a very funny country.
We are indeed. Mr. Oduntan, we can't finish this conversation. I have so many questions, but we have run out of time. But you didn't paint a very positive picture, not your fault. And that scares me.
It is positive. Let us be positive. Yes. We should not give up or think, oh, it is not possible to do. What we need to do is to roll up our sleeves and ensure that we generate more electricity, transmit more electricity, distribute more electricity, and people have to be paying for it. The more people are not paying, the more we cannot pay those who are going to generate the electricity. Egbin power plant in Ikorodu is the largest in West Africa. They have never been able to start all their turbines. Never ever, since it was funded many years ago. Because when they do all of that, who's going to be the off-taker? That is who's going to take the electricity. And when you take the electricity to some areas where you know as soon as your electricity drops there, as a GISCO, we cannot recover our money. I want to take my power to people where people will pay. It's not just about trust. It's about the fact that some people do not pay. They don't want to pay.
It's the whole country. It's the whole infrastructure. The whole place, the places that's not been tapped yet.
Yeah.
Maybe in a few years we'll have other anchors talk about it, because this is accumulation from 1999. We're in 2026 for 3.3 trillion naira. Well, thank you, Mr. Sunday, for joining us for this conversation.
Thank you very much, sir, for the explanations. Fantastic.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And I know that Mazino still have a lot of questions
I do.
here, but we'll have this conversation, and hopefully we'll see where the 3.3 trillion naira, gets us to. We'll go on a short break. When we return, Breakfast Extra continues. Stay with us. Of course, our next big report. Ahead of the 2027 general elections, early signs of political tension are already emerging, from internal party disputes to increasing litigation and allegations of influence within key institutions. Recent reports indicate a proposed 135 billion naira budget allocation for election-related litigation. These begs the question, what is the electoral process in Nigeria like?
135 billion. Well, at the same time, political accusations and counter-accusations are intensifying. The People's Democratic Party has raised concerns over alleged influence and interference. The internal divisions within these parties continue to shape alignment and strategies ahead of the next election cycle. So, joining us are Aliyu Waziri, an APC chieftain, and Donatus Oshwaha, a national auditor, PDP. Now, gentlemen, you're both welcome. Thank you very much for joining us for this conversation.
Thank you for joining us. Aliyu, let me just start with you. Can you just paint a picture of what this litigation situation is all about?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, viewers. Thank you, Nigerians. Well, we are in a political season whereby political gladiators and political parties will be pointing fingers to each other. But to say it is emanating from a particular political party trying to incite some unrest in other parties, I think that is not true. It is normal. It has a history. So many years back, such things has happened, but I think this time around also will not be different. So definitely there will be tensions, because so many political parties are not having crises within their own internal house. So they will always be looking at the ruling party, thinking of there is something they are putting into their house. But definitely, I think APC is not doing that. APC is concentrating on the government of today. The party has a lot of promises that has promised Nigerians, which are trying to deliver. So I think all these litigations, pointing fingers, is something that will actually come to pass. But APC is not actually part of any political party's crisis. We are facing our...
Well, Aliyu, we haven't come to the pointing fingers yet. What we really wanted to know is exactly what this litigation preparation actually entails and why exactly it's being put in place. Aliyu?
Come again, please.
We wanted to know exactly what the litigation process is, why it is necessary, especially at this time, and what it entails. Aliyu, are you with us? Well, let me shift then and ask Mr. Oshwaha. Mr. Oshwaha, you've heard our previous questions and also Aliyu's entries there. How concerned do you think opposition parties should be at the mention of the word litigation process that's being touted currently, or that was touted all throughout last week?
I will start by saying, all the problems we are having in the political parties, those crises and litigations, it's all about the fact that, for me as a person, I don't want to, join myself with those who are always, they always apportion blame, and they bring in sentiment and emotions in whatever they want to do. when we are in Nigeria, we are in a democratic society, and democracy must thrive by the rule of law. When you talk about political parties are an association where people come together in order to actualize, their political ambition by contesting elections. When you come to a political party, before you belong into that association, there's a constitution or law that guides that political party. And that's why when you come, even like in my own party, PDP, in section 2 of the constitution of PDP, 2017 as amended, it provided that all members of the party and its organs must be binded by the provisions of the constitution. So what happens most times is that people allow their personal interests and ego to override the collective interests of the party. So when you have crises and litigations, also you must abide yourself by the rule of law in accordance with the extant laws of the land, the constitution of your party, the Nigerian constitution, and then the Electoral Act. So you don't do things by impunities. So like you see what they have been playing out in other political, like ADC, I learned where they were complaining that the ruling party is trying to interfere in their affairs and maybe want to interfere in the electoral process. That's not just the case. I'm a lawyer. If you have a crisis or a problem in your party, you face the crisis. If you have litigation, you go to court and defend yourself. And when you come to court, you bring your evidence and defend your case. Like in the case of ADC, they came to take over a political party, an existing political party that has organs and structures, right from the ward level to the local government level, to the state level, to the national level.
Of course, our next big report. Ahead of the 2027 general elections, early signs of political tension are already emerging, from internal party disputes to increasing litigation and allegations of influence within key institutions. Recent reports indicate a proposed 135 billion naira budget allocation for election-related litigation. These begs the question, what is the electoral process in Nigeria like?
135 billion. Well, at the same time, political accusations and counter-accusations are intensifying. The People's Democratic Party has raised concerns over alleged influence and interference. The internal divisions within these parties continue to shape alignment and strategies ahead of the next election cycle. So, joining us are Aliyu Waziri, an APC chieftain, and Donatus Oshwaha, a national auditor, PDP. Now, gentlemen, you're both welcome. Thank you very much for joining us for this conversation.
Thank you for joining us. Aliyu, let me just start with you. Can you just paint a picture of what this litigation situation is all about?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, viewers. Thank you, Nigerians. Well, you know, we are in a political season whereby political gladiators and political parties will be pointing fingers to each other. But to say it is emanating from a particular political party trying to incite some unrest in other parties, I think that is not true. It is normal. It has a history. So many years back, such things has happened, but I think this time around also will not be different. So definitely there will be tensions because so many political parties are not having crises within their own internal house. So they will always be looking at the ruling party, thinking of there is something they are putting into their house. But definitely, I think APC is not doing that. APC is concentrating on the government of today. The party has a lot of promises that has promised Nigerians, which are trying to deliver. So I think all these litigations, pointing fingers, is something that will actually come to pass. But APC is not actually part of any political party's crisis. We are facing our...
Well, Aliyu, we haven't come to the pointing fingers yet. What we really wanted to know is exactly what this litigation preparation actually entails and why exactly it's being put in place. Aliyu?
Come again, please.
We wanted to know exactly what the litigation process is, why it is necessary, especially at this time, and what it entails. Aliyu, are you with us? Well, let me shift then and ask Mr. Oshwaha. Mr. Oshwaha, you've heard our previous questions and also Aliyu's entries there. How concerned do you think opposition parties should be at the mention of the word litigation process that's being touted currently, or that was touted all throughout last week?
I will start by saying, all the problems we are having in the political parties, those crises and litigations, it's all about the fact that, for me as a person, I don't want to, join myself with those who are always, they always apportion blame and they bring in sentiment and emotions in whatever they want to do. When we are in Nigeria, we're in a democratic society, and democracy must thrive by the rule of law. When you talk about political parties are an association where people come together in order to actualize their political ambition by contesting elections. When you come to a political party, before you belong into that association, there's a constitution or law that guides that political party. And that's why when you come, like in my own party, PDP, in section 2 of the constitution of PDP, 2017 as amended, it provided that all members of the party and its organs must be binded by the provisions of the constitution. So what happens most times is that people allow their personal interests and ego to override the collective interests of the party. So when you have crises and litigations, also you must abide yourself by the rule of law in accordance with the extant laws of the land, the constitution of your party, the Nigerian constitution, and then the Electoral Act. So you don't do things by impunities. So like you see what they have been playing out in other political, like ADC, I learned where they were complaining that the ruling party is trying to interfere in their affairs and maybe want to interfere in the electoral process. That's not just the case. I'm a lawyer. If you have a crisis or a problem in your party, you face the crisis. If you have litigation, you go to court and defend yourself. And when you come to court, you bring your evidence and defend your case. Like in the case of ADC, they came to take over a political party, an existing political party that has organs and structures, right from the ward level to the local government level, to the state level, to the national level. You cannot just engage. Maybe you discuss with only the national chairman of that party, and you now want to take over the party without going for a proper engagement and discussion and the negotiation with all the structures of the party, all the organs of the party, in order so that everybody will give their consent for you to take over a political party. Otherwise, I expected them to have an issue. What they should have done is to form a new political party. Or when they have come in to take over a political party, what you do is to go through the due process in law. You conduct a proper state congresses, local government congresses, and national convention to produce your officers.
So, Mr. Ochoa, well, now while these points you're making are very very relevant to the storyline, I want us to answer the 135 billion naira question here about this election litigation. First of all, is it placed timely in the sequence of things? Why so much focus on it now, just before the 2027 elections? And why so much money, 135 billion naira? Is it too much or is it just enough? I'd like your take on it, and then we'll come to Aliyu after.
I'm in the same page with you. What I would say concerning that...
I don't have a position. I don't have a position. Let's know that I'm just asking a question.
To say. That position is that in appropriating funds for electoral process or for election litigation, tribunal, matters, is in order, but then you have to go through the due process. The National Assembly should be taken, in consideration, because National Assembly is the people that makes proper appropriations in every year concerning the budget of the country, the budget of the nation. So we know that it's very critical and important, because immediately after any election, there's always litigation. If people go to the tribunal and bring in their cases in order to prove their fact, whether they were duly elected or whether there was election malpractices. But then if you want to do it, bringing so much money when people in Nigeria are suffering, there's a lot of hunger in the land and people are suffering. and you're appropriating so much fund for election litigation and election matters, it is not really in order, in the proper, because if you conduct a free and fair election that is not undermined by election malpractices, and it is a free and fair election, and people's mandate is allowed to prevail, there will be no need for that litigation. If an election is conducted in a due process and in a way in a better manner, and people are satisfied with that election, even candidates are satisfied with the election, you will not see them going to court. But I know that what the government in power is trying to prevent is that they want to appropriate enough funds to make sure that that election is well conducted.
Thank you very much, Mr.
There will be no loopholes, there will be no excuses. That is what I think.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shoha.
The other way, if the election is conducted in a better manner, there will be no need for litigations in court.
Mr. Asroha, thank you very much. Now, Ali, you've just heard what Mr. Asroha has said. Instead of putting that money into election litigation processes, how about we put it into trying to make sure that there are free and fair elections? So once again, I'm asking you the same question. Is that money too much or just enough? And can you defend that for, well, let's say the APC, for instance, or I beg your pardon, for INEC?
Yeah, it's very important we get it right from the Electoral Commission. Our democracy is growing. And one of the things that will strengthen this democracy is when we have the electoral body strengthened very well. And in the way to do it, you have to give them enough finances to be much more independent, that there will not be any side talks with anybody. And that's a responsibility of the government. And I don't think that money is too much. If you look at, I think, if I have not forgotten, what the electoral body has even budgeted was even bigger than this, and then this is what has been approved to them. So the amount is not much. The most important thing is the utilization of the funds that is allocated for the purpose of getting a credible election in the country, and which is what is Nigerians and any other political party is interested in. So if that money is being channeled to the purpose of why it is appropriated, and elections has taken place, and all Nigerians has been given a chance to vote, so I think that will even reduce the issue of the litigations after the elections going to court and all that. And we have a history, as I said earlier. You will have, we have about, if I have not forgotten, this country has about 172 polling units in the country, from a village to another village to another village. So it requires a lot of logistics. And these logistics are not only just put in place on only election days. It has a process of about almost months things in place. So, and sometimes things changes. When you have a plan of doing this at this very particular amount, most likely in a future time, you might have seen something that might change. So I think issue of whether the amount is bogus or the amount is very okay, I think with the population of the country of 200 and something million, that budget is very, very okay. My concern of every patriotic Nigerian is about how the monies are being utilized, which we are very sure the body in person, the Electoral Commission, will utilize the monies properly to enable Nigerians going into this election and have a free and fair elections. And at the end of the day, there will not be so much back and front after swearing in them, and people will start going to court again and be making other spendings. So I think it is in order.
Right. Okay. Well, Ali, we see that the APC remains the ruling party and expectations are high, especially at this time. How is the party positioning itself strategically ahead of 2027 and, of course, the whole political tension?
Well, political tension generally, I think, is in the other political parties. We in APC, recently we conducted our party congresses from the ward level, from the to local government level, state level, zonal level, and then we did the last one on the 27th of last month. That's the national convention, and there are no complaints. There is internal democracy within the party. There is a serious understanding within the leadership of the party, the Progressive Governors Forum, and also the members of the party. So we don't have any problem. We are very optimistic with what we have on ground, we are confident on the leadership of the national chairman and the NWC members that comes in, and also importantly, the president itself is managing it politically, is managing the party very well. There will not be any wranglings after even our primaries. We will go into this election. We will conduct ourselves as a patriotic Nigerians. We will make sure that every process is being followed by the way it is provided in the Constitution and the Electoral Act, and go into this election. And we are very optimistic we will win the presidency of this country, and the president will be back. And also at the same time, we will get the majority in the National Assembly and the Governors Forum, as we also have the majority now. Most of our governors who are seeking for the second time, and those who are coming in newly, by the grace of God Almighty, we will succeed in this election. Well, and even the other political parties that are having problems, you know, there was one thing, that most fingers are being pointed to APC and the president, because everything in Nigeria, people will tell you, is the president. Some are even saying he wants to create a one-party system. Those things are just manufactured. Democracy is not run by one-party system. We know how the president has a history of how he was part of the people who built the democracy of this country to this level. He was the only opposition governor in this country. He built this into
Aliyu, when you put it like that, you'd actually have to refer to the conditions, the people, the communication they're getting, and that's where they're making up their mind. But let's leave that aside. You talked about, I think, was it you or Mr. Oshoala that talked about the courts? Now, if you let the courts be the arbiter, and they are the arbiter of democracy, then what room does that leave for the electorate, for the voters themselves? If I go to a polling unit to vote and say, this is who I want, and that's contended in court, and then somebody else is chosen, what does that say for security? Let me ask Mr. Oshoala, first of all, what your take is on this.
Okay, are you talking about people going to, taking to litigation after elections?
I'm talking about the voter. I'm talking about the voter and how this leaves the voter, how this affects democracy. With all this focus on election litigation so far ahead of the actual event happening, where it seems that priority is not being put in place here, where other things could have been, these monies could have been used for other things. I'm wondering, at the end of it, if we're focusing much on this, where does that leave democracy? Where if I go to the polls and I vote, there's still something else that could happen and say, oh no, the person that you chose isn't the one who's going to be in power. So where does that leave democracy if we have to leave it to the courts?
I will let you know that in elections, in democracy, like I have said, is government of the people, by the people, and for the people. But then there are electoral process. And in law, there's like we have Electoral Act that provided for elections and all the activities and programs that go on with the election. So in an election, that electoral process must be followed. And when you're talking about people going to the polling unit to cast their votes, you know we have processes like we have the accreditation machine, you know, the BVAS machine that will accredit the voter. After accrediting the voter will now be allowed to cast his or her vote. When you cast your vote, that the results are transmitted. And these things are done in the polling units. And we have so much polling units in Nigeria. And when they are collected, during the collection of results, you collect the results from the polling units up to the ward level, from ward level to the local government level.
Let me clarify. Let me clarify once again.
Where I'm trying to educate us in this process, you're telling me, because these processes must have to be carried out. So when these things are done, in this process is taking place, there could be some anomalies, there could be some manipulations. So that's human beings are not perfect. There's no process in life that is perfect. That would be why it is now. It will now take us to immediately after election. The Electoral Act provided, the law provided that those who are not satisfied, who are dissatisfied with the election, can now approach a court, and that court is the tribunal, electoral tribunal. They will now go and ventilate their grievances there. So these are processes because laws are made for peace, order, and good governance of the society. So if you do elections, a lot of people will be aggrieved and they'll be dissatisfied.
Is the voter being considered here? if I see all of this attention, no, hang on a second, sir. Hang on a second, and I would like Aliyu to please enter here and answer. Just a second, sir. If I am here sitting down and I can see all of these activities and all of this focus on election litigation, does that encourage? Just a second, sir. Let me land. Does that encourage me as a voter to go out there and vote is what I'm saying? Because I know that at the end of the day, this is going to end up in court. It doesn't stop at the polls. It doesn't stop at the collation center. It's still going to go ahead into the courts. So for me, I'm thinking, what's the point? And I'm wondering whether you agree that this will affect this will be a big factor for voter apathy. Aliyu, what do you think?
No, because we're in society.
Just a second, Mr. Oshola, just a second. Aliyu, please
There's something I want to tell you about this process.
Gentlemen, just a second.
That's why we're talking about strong institutions in Nigeria. It's not only INEC. If INEC is strong, INEC has that as an umpire is independent enough and carry out that election free and fair, then the voters' rights and his interests will be protected. Are you hearing me? Yes. So that's why I'm saying the second aspect of going to court to ventilate the grievance of the voter, because a lot of people will be aggrieved and they will be dissatisfied with that election process. They still have a window where they can go and ventilate that their anger. All of them are electoral process, and they are all meant to protect the voter. But let us make it be able to, pray that the institutions in Nigeria will be strong. Even the individuals and human beings, Nigerians that will be managing those institutions will be honest, and there will be integrity and sincerity. INEC will come out and conduct an election that is free and fair. Nigerian voters will be satisfied.
All right, Mr. Soha. All right, Mr. Soha. Yes. Let's let Aliyu speak now. Now, Aliyu, I hope you get what I'm saying here, and I'm wondering whether you please go ahead, give us your take.
Thank you very much. I got you clearly.
Okay.
But let me just say something. I want to call on Nigerians to be very optimistic on the process of how our democracy is growing faster. And we have to agree that this democracy will not get to where we want to get to. It has to be with time. And so far, within the 20-something years that we have been in this democracy, we have covered a very long range. Alhamdulillah. Issue of litigations after elections. Most of these litigations come from within the political parties, not only just the process from the INEC. And INEC has to answer questions when they are in court, because when political parties go to court, INEC has to come there because INEC is the one who conducted the elections. So most of these litigations is because most of the political parties does not honor internal political processes. If all those things are being done properly, most of these things will not be happening after elections.
So once again, Aliyu, and I beg your pardon, please forgive me for butting in, and I'm hoping that my co-host here understands what I'm trying to say. Yes. I'm not saying that it is not part of the process. I do understand that it is part of the process, and it has to be there. It has to be taken care of. But my question is regarding the focus and the amount being spent. Seems like these amounts should be spent on trying to make the process before elections actually better. And that would instill trust in the electorate, trust in the voter to go out there and vote. But where I'm sitting down this close to the elections and the focus is on litigation, I'm thinking in my head, it's going to end up in court anyway. That's my point. That's what I'm trying to say. And that's what I'm trying to get from you, gentlemen, whether you think that this is not misplaced priority at this time.
No.
That's why. Can I answer you?
Go ahead, Mr. Oshoha.
What I want to tell you, you have already pointed out that there is a process.
Yes.
And that process is captured in our law. There's an electoral act. So that process has to be followed when you're conducting election. But my own, what you are just concerned about that voter, Nigerians,
yes,
how they can be defended, how they can be protected.
Exactly.
That's why I said one is transparency. Then next you'll be able to conduct election free and fair, give a level playing ground, maintain every environment, that everything that will lead to a free and fair election. Then secondly, even if the matter goes to court, I know the new Electoral Act has provided that the onus of proof will lie on INEC. I'm a national officer of PDP. I remember in the after the last election, 2023, I was in tribunal, I was in court defending our presidential candidate. I saw what INEC brought out as evidence when they were, we subpoenaed them to bring all the evidence that they brought. Most of the this thing they brought, we are all blank. There was not anything recorded on them. But when we now try to argue, and we now say that what INEC was bringing was not in tandem, was not good, but they were allowed in court. So the onus should be on INEC, because most times the onus of proof all lies on the petitioner in our election. It should be on INEC to prove you conducted the election.
All right, Mr.
You say that this
Mr. Sohan.
How do you prove it?
All right,
that
sir.
result that you presented
was
good. Are you hearing me?
Yes, sir, but we have to let Mr. Waziri. We have to let Mr. Waziri give his final entry here. Mr. Waziri, please go ahead.
Thank you very much. I think we still come back to the process I'm talking about. The process, we will get the process right. But this thing, let me tell you, whoever has not won an election, the only thing he will hear you is when you tell him that you have won the election, but the election was rigged, or the process was rigged. Because that is the behavior of a typical Nigerian. Yes, we are concerned about spending monies that should have been done something. But the electoral process also is one of the major institutions in this country that will continue to keep this country intact. Because if you are not getting elections right, then hardly you get so many things right, because getting elections right is part of the things that will keep the country in safe situations. So what I'm trying to say here is this. No matter what you do, if today we go to this election and PDP did not win this election, and really they know they have not won the election, they will still find a way of going to court. Instead of saying, oh, look, we have not been voted for, then let's allow these people to rule. Let's support them. As an opposition, we'll bring our input. But they will not do that. They will concentrate on engaging in the courts so that they will be showing as if they have done something in the elections. So it is a process that will be growing. And this democracy in Nigeria has come to stay. Why I am saying this is because if you look at the population of our country as of 2007, when President Yar'Adua won election, I think, if I'm not mistaken, with 27 million votes. President Muhammadu Buhari came in with around 15 million votes or so. And then in 2019 also it was about 14 million or so. Then this is how it keep on shrinking. Why? Because the electoral process is becoming more refined. Then President Asiwaju in the last election won election with about 8.7 million votes. And while we have a voter registration of over 90-something million Nigerians. So it is not about the issue of, it is the process. When the process is becoming cleaner, things will get right. So the issue of litigations after elections, I think we should be accepting our fates. We should not be stressing the courts and also the electoral body who have done their best and always trying to point a finger that things have not been done in the right way. No. There are people who know they have gone into this election and they have lost election. But they find one thing, no matter how little it is, to say we must go to court. So that just to waste time.
Well,
thank you, Mr. Waziri.
Mr. Ali Waziri and Mr. Donatus Oswaha, thank you so much for joining us. Indeed.
Yes, thank you. But I think I have a last thing I want to contribute.
If you make it in 30 seconds. 30 seconds, sir.
My dear brother have said about, he was talking about why the number of votes people used to win the elections now are reducing. I think I liken it, I see it as a voters' apathy. Right. Because of when they see that the system is not so clean and transparent, so most of them are becoming less interested in going to vote. That's what I would say. So we need to still urge INEC and ask INEC to come up and do more better in the election conducting. Are you hearing me?
Yeah. And I actually agree with you, and that was perhaps where I've been trying to get us to go.
Well, gentlemen,
please. Sorry, please. I just need 10 seconds. Please. Okay. I take your pardon.
Okay.
I take your pardon. Thank you. You see, let me tell you, in the days of PDP, when PDP used to go to one corner and be printing and pointing and just be mentioning figures, That was when you see justice. But when the Electoral Commission is becoming with good processes, you have vivas, you have this, you have this, you have to come with a clear identity to vote.
Gentlemen, thank you so much. Unfortunately, we have to end this conversation now.
But
we know that this conversation is going to continue, and we'll probably have it some other time on the show. But right now, we have to take a break and continue our next conversation. Please stay with us.
Good morning to you in the studio. We are standing right here at the En Mémoire des Enfants du Bénin dévoués à la patrie, place where it celebrates those that fought for the country. And to understand how significant this moment is, you have to understand what Benin actually built, because the reputation was earned. It was not assumed. Benin became the first sub-Saharan African country to successfully transition from a single-party Marxist-Leninist state to a multi-party democracy through a national conference. It was a peaceful civilian-led process that became a template replicated across Francophone Africa. This was way back in 1990. That conference ended 17 years of military rule under Mathieu Kérékou, which produced a new constitution and delivered a functioning democracy, a democratic system, almost overnight. It was remarkable what followed, because by African standards, this was really interesting. Benin held its first competitive presidential election in 1991, and the incumbent lost. Kérékou was defeated by Nicéphore Soglo in what was one of the continent's earliest peaceful transfers of power through the ballot box. Kérékou then returned democratically in 1996, defeating Soglo in turn. That back and forth, incumbents losing, opposition winning, power changing hands peacefully, happened repeatedly. So by 2006, when Thomas Boni-Yayi won the presidency as a political outsider, and again in 2011, when Benin had conducted 6 presidential elections without a single military interruption. So for West Africa, this was quite extraordinary. The country has earned the nickname, or it earned the nickname, Africa's model democracy. International institutions have pointed to Benin as proof that democratic consolidation is possible on this continent. So that is the foundation, and it is precisely why what has happened under President Talon is so significant in the last 10 years, because it is happening in a country that knows how to do this better than most. Now, only 2 candidates are approved for this particular election. The largest opposition party has been barred from the ballot. 109 parliamentary seats were swept by the ruling coalition in January 2026, with 36.7% turnout of that election. Presidential terms quietly extended from 5 to 7 years in November 2025. The democratic infrastructure, it still exists. Elections are being held. Institutions are still functioning. But the operating space within that infrastructure has now visibly and measurably contracted. For a country that wrote the template, that contraction now carries a weight that goes far beyond Benin's borders. And that's the foundation of this election, if we're speaking historically.
Kathleen, you did a great job. You've just created the landscape for us. Thank you very much. We actually needed that. Now, let's paint the scene as it regards tomorrow's elections. Now, let's come to Sagir. Sagir, thank you for joining. If you can tell us exactly, what's Sena's preparation like? Let's talk logistics now. What's it looking like for tomorrow when it comes to, for instance, the transfer of sensitive materials? What have you observed, Sagir?
Well, good morning, Mazino, and good morning, Queen, in the studio. Catherine has already set the foundation for this, but as for Sena, well, Let me start first of all by saying that I'm currently at Marché d'Atonkpa. This is arguably the largest open market in West Africa, and that is where I stand right now giving this update. Now back to preparations by Senna. Senna in the last few days has released a statement stating that around 18,650 kits has been prepared at the preparation centers and should begin deploying to the 77th district of Benin Republic. Of course, we understand that the ECOWAS observation mission is also on ground to observe the elections as well as preparations as it's underway. The election is tomorrow. Campaigns ended yesterday to give a 24-hour window of silence for citizens of the country to sit silent and, of course, decide, reflect on what their decisions is going to be as they head to the poll tomorrow, being the 12th of March. Now, of course, expectations are that the individuals who will be participating in the...
Sagir, if you can hear me, we seem to have lost your audio. We were very interested in hearing what it is you have to tell. So let's try and technically fix that, and we'll come back to you. We'll make you extend that. Queen, you wanted to ask Kathleen a question.
Yes, since we're doing woman to woman and man to man now. Kathleen, I just wanted to ask, there will be international eyes tomorrow for the election, and ECOWAS has deployed an election observation mission. Can you tell us who is leading it and what are they actually mandated to do exactly? Kathleen?
Observers is a very critical part of any election, and the choice of the mission leader has been deliberate from ECOWAS. They've appointed former Ghanaian President Nana Akufo-Addo to head this electoral observation delegation for tomorrow's vote. Akufo-Addo is not a neutral bureaucratic choice. He's a former head of state with a strong, as analysts will say, personal commitment to democratic governance, and his present signals that ECOWAS is taking this election very seriously, particularly given the backdrop of the December 2025 coup attempt and the broader regional context of democratic backsliding, in West Africa, in the region. The mission's mandate is very comprehensive. Under Article 14 of ECOWAS's supplementary protocol on democracy and good governance that was adopted in 2001, the observers have been tasked with monitoring the electoral campaign, observing voting processes, observing the ballot counting, and assessing whether the election meets established democratic standards. So critically, their mandate includes strengthening confidence among both political actors as well as citizens, which tells us something about the trust deficit that this election is going to be navigating. And beyond ECOWAS, the African Union and the European Union have also deployed observer missions. The presence of all of these observers simultaneously reflects the international community's recognition that what happens in Benin on Sunday matters beyond Benin.
Right,
and there are also independent observers from across Africa whom we will be speaking with as we head into these elections. So with every one of Benin's northern neighbors now also under military rule, a credible, peaceful and transparent election is not just a domestic milestone, it is a regional statement, and it is very important. Whether the observer missions assess this election as meeting that standard will be one of the most consequential verdicts that will be delivered in the coming days immediately after the polls close.
Well, Kathleen, thank you very much, and thank you for mentioning security and Benin's neighbors. I think we'll come back to talk about that, but we have Sagir back. Sagir, thank you for joining us back. Sagir, you were telling us about Senna's... Oh dear, I'm being told that we've lost Sagir's connection again. The network must be pretty bad. So, Kathleen, let me come back to you and talk about, well, you just mentioned security. Let's talk about the neighbors. Let's talk about what could have been ideological contagion, which is not happening now, and how Benin actually stands out there. Let's also then relate that to the Nigerian instance and what we see, because you painted a picture that was rather familiar in the beginning. It seems we've heard that story before, only it wasn't in Benin Republic, it was somewhere closer. It was here in Nigeria. So how do they stand when it comes to the security challenges that they're going through, that they're experiencing, and the elections that are about to happen? How does that play in?
But, the security backdrop is very critical, and it sits on top of the former the coups that have, or at least the attempted coups that happen to destabilize the government, as well as the jihadi movements that are happening in the north of the country.
Well, we seem to be having network issues. We want to remember now that this is, well, outside of the country, so we have to contend with these issues, these technical issues, but we will try to make reconnection with our correspondents who are there to observe the election starting tomorrow. Benin has 12 departments. I think that's what we call states here.
Right.
And I'm very concerned about how they distribute their very sensitive materials, because I'd like to compare that to what we do here in Nigeria. And regarding the security implications, the same issues that we face, well, you could say that they face that as well.
Don't take me into how they distribute. You know,
Yeah, it's something that crawls up your skin, isn't it? But we hope to continue to carry on with our coverage of the observation there with our correspondents, and maybe we will be able to get back on the network with them and tell a bit more. There's so much to consider when it comes to the instance in Benin Republic. There are certain issues regarding the tenure which was extended and why it was extended in 2025. What does it seem to be purporting here? There's also the case that the people who have gotten the nod or recognition are those who seem to be partial to governance currently. So if you compare that to Nigeria, you could see a similarity happening, where those who seem to be recognized are those who seem to have certain leanings to who are in authority currently. So the situations are very, very, very similar.
Godfatherism and everything.
We have our correspondents back. Kathleen, I will come back to you and we'll continue to talk about the security implications. But I wanted to ask Sagir a question from... Oh, it doesn't seem that our correspondents can hear us at the moment. So I hope that we can fix that. This is, well, we weren't planning for this, but we'll try and make sure that we fix that so that we can bring you their entries regarding the process that's happening. Tomorrow would be the elections. Yes, Sagir has joined us. Sagir, thank you very much for rejoining, Sagir. You were explaining Sena's preparedness, but I also wanted to know regarding the way campaigns ended, and it seems to have a very heavy tilt to the governance that's currently on ground. How are residents taking this? Sagir, I hope you got us. Sagir, please confirm if you heard my question.
Mas, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Can you please repeat once again, Mas?
All right, so Sagir, ears wide open now. I asked regarding the way the campaigns ended. It seems to have a very strong tilt towards the ruling party. I'm wondering how residents of Benin are reacting to that heavy tilt.
It's still a bit of a struggle.
It's a bit of a struggle here to hear you as well. So I guess we're just going to maybe carry out this communication after. Let's go on a quick break where we'll try and fix these bugs, and then we'll be back with you. Do stay tuned. So we have our correspondents back from Benin Republic as they are observing the election preparations for tomorrow. And I was asking Sagir a question from before. Sagir, we have you now. I'm going to be summary in my question. Sagir, I was asking about the residents' reaction towards the end of the campaign, as it seems to have a very heavy tilt toward the ruling government now. What have you observed?
Mas, I would say that for residents here, it's a bit of a direct contrast in terms of the fact that you either see someone who is in complete support of the election and the continuum of the Talon's government through Ramon Wadani, or you see someone who is completely detached from the process entirely. That's the feel that I've gotten. Now let's focus on those who are detached. They are detached because they feel like the election has been concluded before it started. Their words, not mine, because I mean, we see the presence of the ruling party and the presence of its campaign structure across different parts of the country. There's supposed to be an opposition that's supposed to be campaigning as well, but that opposition seems not to have so much in terms of presence, whether on the streets or even in the media space. Yes, of course, if you look carefully and you look hard enough, you will see some campaign banners, campaign campaign posters, of the likes of that. But when it comes to activities on the ground, rallies, demonstrations, and the likes of that in support of the opposition candidates, it has really, really been absent. We were in Port Novo just yesterday, barely 24 hours ago, the capital city of Benin Republic, and we spent a good 3 hours going round Port Novo, just in search of opposition figures, opposition structures, to see whether yesterday was the end of the campaign, Mazino. In countries like Nigeria and other West African countries, and dare I say other countries, when campaigns are going on, expectation is that the last day of campaign is supposed to be the mother of all campaigns. Politicians who are contesting offices are supposed to come out with their large supporters to show their strength and to tell the people what they are going to be doing for them. For the ruling party and its candidate, it was obvious across different parts, and it was so decentralized such that you could go from street to street and you see one form of campaign structure or one form of campaign arrangement going on. That was how decentralized it was. But in the end, the goal was to ensure that they got the eyeballs of residents of Benin Republic to see that they were on the street campaigning and demanding to be elected. The story is way different for the opposition. Scanty posters, a complete absence on the streets, till much later in the evening. Then we saw that the opposition candidate, Paul Humpe, came out and he did his final campaign. That, of course, which was even attended by just a few individuals. So when you look at this and you compare it side by side, it sort of gives you the feeling that the residents, of course, here are saying, especially for those who are not really interested in the poll. And it sort of justifies the reasons why they are not interested. Because if you see so much pressure and so much presence from, the ruling side and not so much in terms of the opposition side, it sort of tells the story on its own where, the election is going. And this is the reason why those who seem not to be so interested in the poll, feel the way that they feel. It seems like it's a pre-planned arrangement. Those who were supposed to take up the opposition side of things were already scrapped and locked out of the process long before the election came, way back in January, when they lost every seat that they could have had, in Parliament, and of course were not able to meet up with the criteria to field candidates in the election. So this is how some of these residents who will not be participating or who do not show so much interest, in the poll come tomorrow are feeling like, and these are the reasons why they're feeling the way that they are feeling. Masino.
Thank you so much, Sagir, for that update. Of course, election is tomorrow, so we'll be seeing more of you and following up and see how this election ends. Thank you so much, Sagir.
Thank you very much, Sagir. Thank you very much, Kathleen and Domo. Now, we're about to do something very interesting. It's called TV Magic. So last week we had a very interesting gentleman come in here and talk to us about a very big initiative. It's to save lives against polio. So this gentleman is about to ride all the way from London to Nigeria. We're going to be following this journey, but we had him in the studio only last week, but after the show, so we had to make a recording. And that's what we're about to present to you now. So let's take a look at what would have been our final segment here today, but only happening from last week. A bit of TV magic, and we'll be back to say our goodbyes. But enjoy. We'll be back.
A 12,200-kilometer journey from London to Lagos is not just about distance. It is about impact. Olatunji Emmanuel Okedei is undertaking this ride to raise £100,000 for Rotary Polio Plus program, with the potential to raise £300,000 through matching support. The goal is clear: vaccinate over 50,000 children and push the fight against polio closer to completion. At a time when polio eradication is within reach but not yet achieved, efforts like this highlight a critical truth. The final stretch is often the hardest. It requires funding, awareness, and sustained commitment.
Yes, indeed. Joining us now is Olatunji Okedei himself, incoming president of the Rotary Club of Moshin Golden. You're welcome.
Yay! Mazino should be excited. Yay!
I'm trying to rein in my excitement because I'm really excited already. You're welcome. We were so excited. I was so excited when I heard that you were coming over. And so I'm going to, like I said, try and really tame my excitement, and let's focus on the cause of this ride. Only a little bit. But, so you're doing this ride for polio.
Yes.
Very interesting, because you're not the only person who's done this before, and I'm wondering what's different this time.
Okay. In terms of raising awareness for polio, it's not an ending thing. You will keep raising this awareness until polio is removed from the surface of the earth. Currently, we have 2 countries that still that still have polio within those 2 countries because of war and also because of the terrain. We have Afghanistan and Pakistan, and until that is done, we are also not safe. So that's why the campaign needs to be ongoing, and also when our mother, when they give birth to baby as well, from 0 to the age of 5, they also need to continue to have this immunization for these children as well, so that they can be able to have that immunity. So the more we are campaigning for people to be aware that what they need to do, and also we are also raising money towards that challenge as well. So that's the reason why I'm embarking on this journey.
Interesting, Queen, because only just, I think, somewhere in the last 5 years or 1 decade, I think Nigeria was pronounced polio-free. But I get what you mean. If it's out there, we're still at risk, whether we like it or not.
Yes, we have. Just like coronavirus, if it started from another country and then it ended up in Nigeria and some other part of the world. So with Pakistan and also with Afghanistan, there's war ongoing. People are migrating. People are coming out from those countries. So when they move it to another country and they've got polio, so it means it's going to affect any country they move to. So that's the essence of the reason why this campaign also needs to be going, and also the immunization also need to be ongoing for those children within that area. It's been a bit difficult for people to actually access children within that area because of war. When there's war, there's more to the war that is going on. There's also people being unable, the vaccinator unable to reach those children within those areas as well.
Logistic issues.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, like Mazino said, a lot of people have done this ride for different causes. So I would like to, I know that most times when you're doing a course there's a reason. Yeah. So can you share with us, is it like a personal reason? Did you have someone who's...
Personal experience?
What's your experience with it, and why are you fighting so much for it?
So I grew up in the hospital. My parents they work in the hospital, and then we moved from one hospital to the other because we were opportune to be living in the quarters. So I've been able to see children died of polio because they do not have immunization. I've seen children that maybe part of their hand was cut off because they couldn't. And this actually resonated with me for many years back, and I feel at some point I'm actually going to do something to support and also to raise those awareness and also to support that campaign. And there's no better time than now. And that's the reason why now that I have the opportunity to raise that campaign, I have the opportunity also to ask my friends and well-wishers to donate for the cause. So I just say, yeah, this is time for me to embark on this journey.
Interesting. Let's talk about the excitement. Well, that's not to say that part wasn't exciting, but this part is much more exciting because, I mean, we get to nerd over the rest of this interview here, and you get to observe. So
I will.
As you know, I'm also a biker. I'm not just an ordinary biker. I also do cross-country touring. And I know something for certain, Queen. There's nothing that brings attraction or attention as much as a biker does. Whenever you ride into a place, I'm sure you can testify, the children, the people, the awe, they're like, oh my goodness, how far have you come? How fast can you go? You know, it's always very exciting. And I'm wondering what you intend to use for this journey.
Okay, I'm looking to use, I'm not going to mention
no brands, but
so I'm looking at about 850 to 900, max 900 cc in terms of because I need something it's a long journey, 12,200 kilometers. So I need something strong because of also the wind, but I don't need I also need to consider the weight as well. So something that is not too weighty as well.
Give me a second. Let me help her understand. So 900 cc's is the volume of your engine. It also translates to the weight of the bike.
Right.
So if it's too heavy on a long trip, it can get really exhausting. So choosing a small engine capacity will actually help you save some weight because you're still carrying luggage. Continue.
Yeah, so that's the bike I'm looking to use as well. So like you rightly said, I'm still going to have luggage, 3-compartment luggage as well, to carry some of my items, clothes, and maybe my first aid box and some other things, contact details and all the rest, passport and all those ones will be also. So that is going to add that extra weight on the bike as well. So that's the kind of bike that I'm actually looking to use for the trip.
And how do you intend to, well, the borders, for instance, what's your arrangement with the borders? Because I think a tractor, she was the lady who did from think Nigeria to Europe, not Chibeda. Chibeda was also here, and her cause was for was it for cancer, if I'm not mistaken?
Yes.
Now, I think hers was for, if I'm not mistaken, cleaner border, what do you call it? Cross-border relationships between countries, because she, I think, works for immigrations. So how do you intend to, well, go about the whole border situation, because it can be tough at the borders, especially with a machine?
Okay, yeah, the issue is I've looked at in terms of the requirements, and I've put those requirements into place. Also, having a dual citizenship as well, help in terms of, I mean, within Europe, I can ride free within Europe, and also there's a free entrance to Mauritania and Morocco as well, and then my Nigerian passport will kick in from the other places where during the West Africa area. So in terms of that, and also I'll also be working alongside with my other Rotarians from all those countries. So part of the journey is, part of the preparation is we're making contact with Rotarians in France, in Spain, in all those locations I'm going. So they will be welcoming me. And so they already prepared the ground.
So even if you're
meeting me at the border,
you won't really be alone.
No, I'm not going to be alone. So they will be my eyes. Yes, they will be my eyes, my hair. By the time I'm taking off from one location, they will already be in contact. I will speak to them. I'm taking off now. I see you at so time. They look at my ETA, and they will be expecting me at the border. So I'll be meeting other Rotarian and other bikers as well.
That's good.
There are other bikers that will be waiting for me on each location.
It's an exciting life awaiting you throughout this entire
journey. I'm not going to be alone throughout the journey.
I feel like he already has things planned more than Nigerian government, but let's...
She told a joke.
So I wanted to ask, 12,200 kilometers is going to be how many weeks or how many months, you know, just driving all the way from London back to Lagos? That's one. And then when it comes to money, I'm very particular. When this money comes, how do you plan to administer it to make sure that the money is being used for what you've suffered for?
So in terms of the journey, sorry, come back with the first question.
The first question is how many weeks or months?
Okay, so in terms of the number, is going to be 25 to 27 days in total.
Okay.
So yeah, so each day it's been divided. We've divided the 2,200 kilometers by each day. Okay. So there's a number of kilometers that I need to cover per day. So, and by the time I finish the kilometers, I'll be fellowshipping. At the end of that kilometer, I'll be fellowshipping with a Rotary club that will be having me. I will sleep overnight, and then the second day, I move the second day. So, and that's how we continue to.
Would you be riding every single day?
I'll be riding every day.
Every single day?
Yeah, it's just going to be 2 days or whatever that.
Rest.
And there are some days that the kilometer is not more than maybe 300 kilometers.
Which is still quite a lot.
Yes, it is. But somebody like me who do maybe I can do up to 400 to 500 kilometers. I mean, 550.
Now you're boasting.
Sometimes.
Can I just be a butterfly patch while he drives, and I'll just be there saying, yay!
It's not the same experience. You have to be in charge of the
my wings
of the machine. It's a beautiful experience, and I can testify. 2 weeks ago, I was in Obudu and Enugu. I saw the Obudu mountain for the first time. My second attempt.
It's in my state. Thank you.
Oh well, thank you for such beautiful people, because you guys were so hospitable, and that's the thing. People don't know how much hospitality you get to encounter as you go on these trips. People who know you from nowhere, they just, aid you. It's so beautiful. So with all of this, I wanted to know, personally, Queen, when you travel from Abuja to Lagos in a plane, how do you feel when you get to Lagos?
I just feel I'm back home.
But do you feel exhausted?
In a compartment.
In a compartment, yeah, exactly. We call it cages. In a cager, you're a cager.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, we're ganging up against you. But you do feel exhausted, don't you? So imagine how he must feel riding every single day for 25 to 27 days. And I'm wondering what routine has made you prepared for it? I mean, in terms of fitness.
So there's a question which I'm going to answer, and I'm also going to answer. Good. In terms of the money, yes, what we're doing is we've got Rotary has got we've got the Polio Foundation. Okay. So the money will go to Polio Foundation. So they will, that's where the money will be disbursed. Okay. So that's where the money will go to. So what we are doing is we collect the money together and then disburse it to the Polio Foundation, and then they will be the one to, in terms of disburse the money to the right quarters. Okay. So that's what we are trying to do. Okay. So
fitness.
In terms of fitness, I've been gymming. I've been also swim. I mean, daily I do maybe 2 hours swimming, and then I go on the treadmill as well too, and I watch in terms of my food intake as well. And for some times now, I've lost some weight as well. So I've been preparing for in the last 4 or 5 months, in the last 6 months, so to speak, towards this journey. So we've been doing a lot of work behind the scene before we get to where we are at the moment.
So you should tell Queen how exhausting it is and why you need this routine, because it's not that easy.
I was about to ask about food. Yes,
yes, she's also a chef.
I would also like to, for you to explore the food for 25 days, wherever, just explore the food. You see why I say I need to be the butterfly? Just follow and just, try the food. I'm sure it's going to be nice. I think it's a good thing what you're doing, fighting for a cause. And it's something about Nigerians that I enjoy. We always like to fight for something good for us, just to give us hope in terms of, all the assurances that there's no light to give us a complete assurance. But, this is a good cause. You leave today.
Yes.
To the UK.
Yes.
And you commence the journey back when?
I'll be commencing on June 12th. And prior to that, there's a plan with the clubs in London as well. We'll be having a flag off in London. And yes, a lot of people will be there. And we'll also see people hopefully donating to the cause as well. So, but in terms of the donation, our donation platform is going to start maybe at the end of this month. So people, what we try to do is people will buy, some people, we divided the kilometers into £10 per kilometer, £10 per kilometer. So anyone who can buy one, we've seen people promising that they can do 100, they can do 100 kilometers. I've had somebody saying they were going to donate for about 500 kilometers. So we sell it, people will buy it per kilometers, and even people who cannot do up to that, they are still welcome as well to donate whatever they want to donate for the cause. Right. We supporting a good cause, and I know my Rotarian friends, well-wishers and partners as well. They are rooting for me.
It's very interesting. Well, I'm definitely looking forward to this, and I'm going to be following the trip, whether you like it or not. I'm part of it now.
You don't have a choice.
I don't have a choice now. I'm looking forward to the beautiful places, faces, the cultures, also the food. So please do. How do you intend to document this? I almost forgot to ask.
Yeah, I've got a GoPro camera, and I've also got 360 camera as well. So that will be on by the time I start the journey. So these will be daily updates. It will be a daily update. So it will be transmitting to my colleagues who are working behind the scene as well. So they will be.
That'll be like your digital.
Yeah. They will be the one, and then they will be the one releasing, because I won't be able to see whatever is happening. Mine is just to concentrate on the ride and to make sure I get it.
We're all here for that.
I have a plan for you and your bike now.
You have a plan?
Yes.
Would it involve you?
Yay, the magic is over. And this is me in present time. But before we go, let's go back to Benin Republic, where we have our correspondent, Kathleen. Kathleen, before I let you go and get ready for tomorrow's election, I just wanted to ask you about the coup attempt that shook the country last year, December 7th to be precise. So beyond politics, how has this... what has this cost Benin economics, and how much does it matter to this election and, of course, to the neighboring countries like Togo and Nigeria? Kathleen.
Yes, I was saying before we got cut off that the economy, the IMF rated the economy very highly just after 2024. This is a country that has roughly 30% of people in rural areas still struggling to meet basic needs, and growth and inequality are running in parallel. Also, this contest is a two-man race between Romuald Wadani and the finance minister and the ruling party candidate Humpe, who is a former minister and a moderate opposition figure. So what we are seeing in terms of the strength of the economic record of the country, as well as the security record, has far-reaching consequences for the country. There is a democratic deficit at this moment, as I outlined earlier. The political space has visibly narrowed under President Talon. Some opposition leaders are in jail or are in exile. The largest opposition party was barred from this ballot. The government is arguing that tighter electoral rules are reducing political chaos. Critics are arguing that this is designed to silence the opposition. So a lot of things are playing out. The security aspect, Benin is facing a growing jihadist threat along its northern borders from groups affiliated with Al-Qaeda and ISIS operating from the Sahel. In 2025, dozens of soldiers were killed in a single attack, one of the deadliest security incidences in the country's recent history. The government says they deployed troops, but they rarely discuss these incidences publicly. So these things are also playing out in the election as they have generated public frustration. Now, economically and in terms of the neighbors, Benin is also strategically placed and is a resource hub for Nigeria, where Nigerian traders invest heavily in coming to this country and buying goods and services back to Nigeria. It's also a hub for West Africa, stretching to Togo. Benin also reaches out to the diaspora. Recently, something interesting about giving citizenship to the descendants of enslaved Africans shipped to the Americans in a gesture of Pan-African recognition that has drawn significant international attention to the country and speaks to the fact that the country understands its place in the much larger story. So the economy, the contest, the democracy, the security, the identity of the country, and the fact that its neighbors are bastions of trade for it are all on the ballot tomorrow.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Kathleen, for that update. Of course, we will be speaking to you tomorrow to see how the elections go. Thank you and be safe.
Thank you very much, Kathleen. We'll also be talking to Kathleen on our various bulletins across the day.
Yes.
And we have no time. We have to say our goodbyes. Thank you very much for joining us. Do remember, join us again tomorrow. We start at 8 o'clock right here for Breakfast Extra Sunday edition.
Au revoir.
Bye-bye.